What's up, good people? What's up, good people? We are live on the air. Hopefully, all systems are go. Are a go. Hopefully, y'all can hear me just fine. Hopefully, y'all can hear me just fine. Shout out to everybody that's in the building already. Going to be talking about this Jordan Peterson situation, to call it that. Even though I don't think it's that much of a situation, a lot of times I get sent a lot of things, and some of it I do content on, some of it I don't. I wish people would have sent me this. They probably just assumed I watched it, but actually I did never watch the interview. I never watched the interview between Jordan Peterson and Hafez from the Roommates. I finally did it last night, and yes, it was a very content worthy interview. So I'm going to be digging into that, unpacking one aspect of that today. So I wish I would have hopped on this sooner, but like I said, I didn't watch it, but I finally did. So without further ado, let's get ready to go. Let's get this thing started. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, good people? What's up, good people? We are back in the building for another one. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Saludim El Rahim, says Jordan Peterson, while making good points about male-female relations, was absolutely wrong with his recent statements, although I can see the logic somewhat. I'm going to be breaking that down. I'm definitely going to be breaking that down. So, yeah, definitely going to be breaking that down. Trying to play with my mic here. I still don't got all this equipment together how I want it. But that's all right. Build it while you fly it. But eventually, this thing has to fly. But shout out to Saludim El Rahim in the building. Uneducated Lame in the building, fellow channel member. Shout out to him. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who becomes a member to the channel. Says salute to all. Saturday stream was another classic. Absolutely, absolutely. Me and Game Changer, whenever me and Game Changer get together, we normally bang out some classics. So we definitely put another classic on the books with that one. It was definitely a good one. Shout out to Logan JJ, says salute BR and salute to the chat. William Jefferson in the building says, what was JP right about? Are you asking the last person who commented, Saladim El Rahim? Because I didn't say he was right about anything. He was right about some things, but I didn't particularly, haven't given my position exactly yet. So you're asking what is he right about? Are you referring to the last commenter? Omega Dreads Gaming Channel in the building says good morning to everyone. Shout out to him. KD in the building. Jordan Peterson puts me to sleep with his interviews. Not me. I love listening to Jordan Peterson talk. I really do. Shout out to Demac the Truckers, Excalibur. Shout out to D-Rock Den. E Taylor 704, GA Boy in the building says good morning, fellas. Happy Monday. Open ranks. I don't think I've seen you around here. Shout out to you. He says you need a fitted suit, my brother. No, I don't. I need exactly what the hell I got. Exactly what the hell I got. My suit fit well enough. It's actually hard for me to get suits to fit exactly how I want them to fit unless I have to go get them tailored. In other words, there's no other way around it. My shoulders are wide. My shoulders are technically 48. And normally if you're that big as a 40, if you got 48 in your shoulders, you're supposed to be bigger elsewhere. So it's a good problem to have. It means I have good, broad shoulders. So it's a good problem to have. But when you put on a suit, if you get it, if the shoulders fit, then it's going to be too loose in other areas. Then if you make it super snug and tight in the shoulders, then it's going to bunch up and be all, so it's a difficult task when you're when you're broad shouldered. So I do technically, if I really want a suit to fit right, I have to get it tailored, and that's just something I have to start doing eventually. But I don't. Is what it is. But shout out to you. Theo Waff in the building says, JP, take my last $2 and kiss my black arsenal. Absolutely.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
I always love when Zero come through and comment. He says, JP, Jordan Peterson, almost lost his career talking sheet. Now he's flipped to Team Woman. His gynocentric blind spot is now fully blacked out. Everyone who is in public and addresses the power will conform. Something that Zero has been saying for a while, the term, the slogan, the saying, hashtag Zero was right. Maybe right here. But I will do my bestest to break down the nuance of Jordan Peterson's discussion there. I will do my bestest to break down the nuance of it, because there was some nuance there, and it was something to be said there. There was a there with some of what he was saying, but it was framed in a way to where I know he's smart enough to see the problem. So that's what I'm going to break down and get into. I know he's smart enough to see the problem. But either way, going to get into it. But shout out to Zero. Appreciate the $10 super chat. Definitely appreciate that. Where we at? I'm going to dig right into it. Hit the like button. We almost got 100 people in here. And, on a good stream, when the people coming in fast and quick, I normally can wait till I get 100 in to really get started. But we're going to go ahead and get it started right now. I like how they added that little feature right there, how you can drop down. That wasn't always there. That is a new thing that StreamYard just did. I could have fronted and let y'all think I was using some different software. Huh. That's pretty cool. I didn't know they just added that. That's brand spanking new, at least to me. Maybe it's been there for a while and I haven't seen it, but that is new. But all right, I tend to like to go like this. But shout out to everybody. Almost got 100 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. That lets people know that you're there and lets, the algorithm get their algorithming. Shout out to Zero once again. Says he's smart enough to see the problem and is also smart enough to know how the public will perceive his talking points. It was on purpose. You might be right. You might be right. But anyway, let me go ahead and get right into it. I skipped a little intro portion. We rolling right into the conversation when Hafez asked him the first question. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Recent article, I think.
Hold up and get my earpieces ready to go. Fair use.
Did you see the recent article? I think a professor at NYU named Scott Galloway, I believe his name was, and he talked about how that there is a mating crisis going on in the Western world. And one of the reasons why he brought it up was that, in the typical college and university, 60% of them is female, 40% of it is male. And a lot of the college age females or college graduates who are females, they only want partners who are also college graduates. So have you seen an article? And then what are your thoughts about a mating crisis?
Well, what seems to be happening is that if male enrollment falls below a certain percentage, and it looks like it's something like 40%, then the females start not going too. And that's not surprising.
I apologize once again. I promise I'm going to just get to premium. I never remember I need to do that until I'm on the air. So I apologize.
Surprising. I mean, really?
Now, I don't know, and I tried to look it up. I couldn't find any evidence that if male enrollment in college drops, female enrollment will drop. There are situations where male involvement is greater, and then women show up. Like, for example, when I interviewed the pastor, he said at one point he had a 50-50 male versus female congregation. And eventually all the women found out that, whoa, this church has 50-50 when it comes to men and women. And then the women flooded in. And then so it probably dropped down to about 40-60 or whatever, because the women came there because the men are there. However, when it comes to college and women are in a modern world taught and raised to seek out accomplishment, achievement, and power, and all kind of other stuff like that, I don't think a lack of male enrollment will keep women out. I don't buy that, and I don't know where he got that from. I don't know where he got that from, but I see little to no evidence that would be the case when it comes to college, because it's clear that modern women, they're there they're there because they want that degree. They want that degree. They want that come up. They want that title. They want that badge. So I don't know where he got that from. But shout out to Jordan Peterson. I still like Jordan Peterson. He said a lot of good stuff. He said a lot of good stuff. So I'm not tripping. But let's go.
Really? Of course. How many people meet their prospective mates in university or college? Pretty much everyone who goes that route. So it's not surprising that would happen with young people. And the fact that male enrollment is declining is well, it's a shocking indictment of the education system in general. That and the failure of boys all the way through the education system is the same thing. The increasing failure of boys. So, part of it, I thought that part of it might be that girls will play boys' games, but boys won't play girls' games. So there's a bit of that going on with boys themselves, I think. But
What do you
more of
mean
it
by that,
is,
Dr. Peterson?
well, if a girl plays boys' games, she's admired by the girls and the boys. But if a boy plays girl games, well, he's not necessarily admired by the girls or the boys,
That's
right?
true.
And with that statement, I think he refuted his initial statement. If the girls will play the boys' game of being industrious, but boys don't want to play the girls' game, so I think he explained how and why quite simply that a lack of male enrollment in college is not going to make women back off from going to college, because they're still going to want to go there. They're still going to want to get out there and accomplish something and be industrious, and that's how they view accomplishment, getting that degree, regardless of what the degree is in. That's how they view it. But good job on Hafez to asking him to elaborate on that.
Now, that I don't
And fair use.
mean that doesn't, I don't mean that boys shouldn't play with girls or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
That isn't what I mean. I'm trying to figure out
All
this
right, let me see
enrollment
what
issue.
Ed is like the third comment where he's trying to explain something to me. Let's see what he's talking about here. Ed says, Bernard Riley, that's not what he's talking about. College is not considered a male sport. You're misreading it. Well, I don't know what he meant then by girls will play a boys' game. If he's saying that the college is a girls' sport and then boys are not playing because girls do it. But I think girls initially started going because they wanted to go back to second wave of feminism. They wanted to be more like the men. They wanted to get out and accomplish something. They wanted to have their own individual hard-hitting thing that they went out and rolled their sleeves up and did. I am woman, hear me roar. Yes, they were trying to be more like men, and that's why they started gradually flooding into the colleges. I don't think that's a controversial statement. Not Riley. Jordan doesn't start fucking up until later in the interview. Oh no. I know the precise part where he started messing up. I'm just easing into it. Mike and Vince Perkins, you guys are in Michigan. I'm be hitting y'all up. And anybody who's in Michigan who wants to be in studio with, I mean, you could be from anywhere if you want to fly in, but anybody who want to be in studio, now that I got an in studio set up, by all means, let's make it happen. So I'll be hitting you guys up on the email. But no, trust me, I know when Jordan Peterson started messing up. I watched the whole thing.
And what's going on, and obviously girls, for whatever reason, are being encouraged to value their education in a way that boys aren't, and that's partly marketing and messaging as well, because girls are taught fairly consistently now that they should be their best self, and the world needs more female power, and so on and so forth, and that's probably true. But the underlying message there is, well, instead of boy power and man power, not along with, but instead of.
Yeah.
Because if women ran the world, there'd be no wars. It's like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. You really think that? It's like, how dim can you possibly be to believe that?
Statements like that, that's where Jordan Peterson normally gets it right. That's how he became someone who the manosphere definitely definitely became a fan of. Most people in the manosphere, at least. Shout out to Purdue in the building with the super chat. Definitely appreciate that. He says years ago he attacked MGTOW, then Karen Strawn shot back, then JP partially recanted. Yeah. One thing that you gotta understand about Jordan Peterson and people like him, and I can relate to this, but I don't go doing it like he's a traditional. When you got a traditional conservative type that's been married for 30 years, men going their own way. He's not going to perceive or interpret that the same way that a lot of us will. He's just not. Now, there's some aspects of MGTOW that I have some disagreement with, but I look at the internal logic of everything that every MGTOW has ever said, and I'm like, oh no, there's internal logic in it. That's why I'm not going to, break out a pitchfork against it. Like that's where it gets goofy for me when somebody breaks out a pitchfork against MGTOW. It just, especially when you understand when you understand the situation, when you understand the landscape. I don't know how you could break out a pitchfork against MGTOW if you truly understand that a MGTOW is just a guy that's essentially said, I'm not getting married, I'm not having any children, I'm not playing the traditional game, essentially. Now, when they go all the way to MGTOW monk, I think that's a step too far in the extreme. But so I don't understand how anybody's how I don't understand how men who have a proper analysis of the modern dating game, dating world, and culture could just be breaking out pitchforks on MGTOWs. I don't understand that. Shout out to Pernue Man Here. I think I said your name right. Let me blow that up so I can see it. Man Here. Shout out to you. And Zero is saying Jordan Peterson's rhetoric is, yeah, do it anyway. I have noticed that there are a lot of men, more than what I thought, who will talk about how bad it is, but then will say, go die on that hill. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing.
So something else I've been hearing, Dr. Peterson, a lot of young men have been sharing with me, and I'm not sure how much you've heard of it or experienced it. They've been sharing that, that they feel as though the average woman has no desire for the average male, and that because of things like social media, online dating, things along those lines, as well as just some of the female empowerment, where a lot of women have this is what they say, an elevated sense of self, that now they feel like they're above a lot of these average males, which also contributes to a disparity between young adults being able to connect and form meaningful relationships.
Yeah, well, women are.
Now, notice Hafez framed the question in a macro way. He framed it from a sociological perspective when you're looking at groups of people. That's one thing that you have to keep in mind here. If you understand that, you will understand the spin move later.
Are more picky in their mate choices than men, especially sexually. That's the case in every culture. It's not surprising, because women have more at stake sexually than men do, per episode, because men don't get pregnant, obviously. And so that female pickiness is that's the case. That's definitely true. Whether it's worse now or not, I doubt if it is. I would say to young men who are irritated at women is, if you're irritated at women, as a class of creature, there's something wrong with you, because they're right. You're wrong. They're right to not pick you. If they're not picking you, it's because they're right.
Wow.
Now, that might get, I know that's a terrible thing to say, and I know perfectly well, it wasn't like I was particularly successful with girls when I was young. So I know what that rejection is like. I know what that fear is like. I don't know it as well as some men know it, because I wasn't rejected outright. But what you have to understand is that, what do you expect from women? If you got pregnant because you had sex, you'd be pretty damn choosy too. So,
all right, all right. Okay, all right. That's the start of the money shot, so to speak. That's the start of the money shot. Now, do you remember when well, of course you should remember, because I just recently said it. I said, if you understand that the question was framed in a macro way, where Hafez was looking at, the numbers, so to speak, looking at the views and perspective of women as a whole, as a group, and Jordan Peterson more or less kind of conceded those points. He more or less conceded those points, but then he took a step back and said, but wait a minute, they're right for not choosing you if you're an individual man and you're irritated at women. Okay. Here's the problem with that. And I should let it play more because he went in some more on that. So I'll tease it and then I'll get into it. I'll tease it a little bit and I'll let it play and then I'll get into it more. If you're talking about an individual man who's trying to figure out how to succeed in the current mating market, you can argue that a woman is right for not choosing you because, hey, the market is what the market is, what the market demands. If for whatever reason you don't supply it, then I guess you could say that that woman is right. Now, I don't want to get into this thing where we start pretending like women are the best judges of what's best for them, because leave them to their own devices. They will normally choose what's not best for them. But in general, if there's a market out there, and even if the thing that the market demands is something that in your mind doesn't make any sense, something that makes no sense at all. Let's just say that the market, it used to just being a solid, decent guy with a solid, okay, decent job. That got you a mate. That got you a mate. Okay. That got you a mate back in the day. Now that a woman can just get a okay, solid, decent job, you having a okay, solid, decent job, that does not get you a mate. And then now, as a result of that, things that don't matter or don't mean nothing become more valuable. And what am I talking about? Things like game and swag and charisma and all of that. Though things like that become more valuable. So that's where he's wrong in saying, well, they're right for not choosing you. Now, if you're talking about an incel who has orders of magnitudes of problems, social hiccups that he need to deal with, yeah, he needs to get that figured out. That's why I always say, no matter how bumpy the terrain is, you got to roll your sleeves up and figure out how to drive on that terrain. If that means earning more money, becoming more successful, if it means going to the gym, working out, if it means getting in shape, if it means just improving your overall social skills, if it means getting a passport, if all of that, if that's what it means to become better, to get better individual results in the dating and mating market, then yeah, that's what you need to do. But that's not the question that Hafez asked Jordan Peterson. Hafez asked him a macro question, a question that deals with the macro, and he gave the micro answer. The macro analysis could be absolutely positively correct, but still grabbing that individual by the collar and saying, hey, this is the market. If you want to succeed in it, this is what you need to do. That don't mean that the women are right. It just means that they want what they want. And left to their own devices, we saw how they chose men once fathers stopped choosing men for women. We saw what they chose, and we're now living in the wasteland of that. So we can't say that they're right. We could say that the market is what the market is, and you either meet the demands of the market or you don't. And if you don't meet the demands of the market, then you end up losing. That's what we can legitimately say. But we're not going to validate their position. You can't, in one hand, say that the amount of risk that they take by having sex and possibly getting pregnant, you can't talk about that risk and then look at the out of wedlock birth rates and then know the statistics of what happens when children are born out of wedlock and then turn around and say, but they're right. You can't say that they're right, but you can grab an individual man by the collar and say, hey, you got to figure this shit out. You can do that. And like I said, figuring out could mean a number of things. It could mean getting your money up, getting your social skills up. It could mean getting in the gym, getting in better shape. It could mean a number of things. Some combination of as when I say social skills, I'm essentially talking about game. Getting some combination of your game, your looks, money, or status up will help you in this modern dating game. That's just a brute fact. But no, you don't say that the women are right. You say that The market is what the market is, and the men who win are the ones who figure out how to succeed in this modern dating market. That's a more accurate analysis. Unless we're talking about that guy who just you could just look at him or just hear him talk and see, dude, you clearly got problems and things you need to work on before any woman is going to deal with you. Like that's one thing. That's a different thing.
That fear is like, I don't know it as well as some men know it because I wasn't rejected outright. But what you have to understand is that what do you expect from women? If you got pregnant because you had sex, you'd be pretty damn choosy too. So, clue in a bit.
But the $1,000,000 question, are they choosing men who are more likely to stick around? If the answer to that is no, then we can't pretend like they're choosy for good reasons. They're choosy for wrong reasons.
And then, well, don't they find you attractive? Well, maybe you're not. Like, have you paid attention
And
to how
I'm not saying that. Let me make this very clear and blow myself up when I say this. When I say that they're choosy they're not choosy for the right reasons, they're choosy for the wrong reasons. I'm not saying that from a perspective of saying that I'm the right reason. No, I've been the wrong reason. It was a woman, she just liked me. She wanted to be in a relationship. I didn't want to be in a relationship, but she liked spending time with me. So me and her were just laying up, Netflix and chilling and hooking up, having sex 2-3 times a week for about a 6 to 8 month period. She could have been out trying to find her husband, but no, she was laying up with me. I'm not going to say she was right and she made the right decision. No, if her goal was to find a husband, she was making the wrong decision with me. Because I didn't want to be married to her. I didn't even want to be in a relationship with her. So I'm not saying this as this isn't me being a male pick-me. I'm giving critical, objective analysis. I've been the wrong guy. Not that I was, out doing stupid stuff, reckless stuff, serial impregnating women and just not taking care of the kids and doing no. I wasn't that type of wrong guy. I was the wrong guy for the goals that she said that she wanted and what she was looking for and what I actually wanted from her. And she understood what I wanted from her, even though I wasn't as upfront and direct at first, but eventually it came out. Shout out to ARC. But eventually it came out that this is where I'm at. And this is what it is. And yeah, she stuck around for 6 to 8 months before she moved on. She probably would have found her husband in them 6 to 8 months. So I'm not being a male pick me saying no, they should have chose me. No, I've been chosen up. I've been chosen up plenty of times. So I just want to make that very clear. I want to make that very, very clear that we're talking about women in what they do and who they choose and how they choose. We can't pretend like that. To put it better, I'll explain it this way. If we understand that they have to be choosy because they run the risk of getting pregnant, well, it would if that's why they're being choosy, then it would logically follow that they're getting pregnant by men who are most likely to stick around, men who carry good dad qualities. Seeing as that is not the case, we can't validate their choosiness. That's just simple logic to me.
You dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? Well, maybe you're not. Like, have you paid attention to how you dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? Are you a liar? Are you a rabid pornography user? Because maybe that's undermining your motivation to seek out a woman and grow yourself up. It's like, if you're rejected constantly and you're out there really trying, because that's another thing to ask yourself is, well, how many women have you actually asked out? And are you so sure that you're not picking women who will certainly reject you because you're trying to bat out of your league? Because you might be. So
whenever somebody makes the men are batting out of their league argument, in my mind, they either don't live in reality, they either have something they're trying to sell, or they're just caping for women, one or the other. You can find online some guys who will say in a chat room, "Oh, she has to be a perfect 10." You can find that. Yeah, okay, that exists. That exists. But by and large, I said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Men, we don't bat out of our league. We may try, we may swing for the fences, but at the end of the day, staying in our lane makes the difference between having a sex life and not having a sex life. And seeing as we really want a sex life, we tend to stay in our lane. That's just a brute fact of reality. We will stay in our lane and 2 levels below it just to maintain the sex life. So when it when it comes to choosiness, keeping men and women apart, you can't blame the men. You can't. No.
And I'm speaking about this as a clinician too, because I had plenty of men in my practice who were, radically unsuccessful with women. I had one man in particular. He was so afraid of women, he couldn't even, well, he couldn't use the phone. He was too afraid of everyone to use the phone.
That's not a guy batting out of his league, but see, that's the type of guy who what he said about their right, it falls in that category. If you're just that afraid of women, you have some serious social anxiety. And I would argue that that same guy probably gets nervous in conversations with men he don't know. He's just an all around socially nervous, just socially awkward person in general. And those guys do exist. Those guys do exist. But if we're talking about how modern women operate in this modern dating market, I think pinning it on the guys who their hands shake if they gotta talk to a girl on the phone. they're doing it with a shaky hand. They nervous. They nervous and got a shaky hand while they're talking to a woman on the phone. Like if we can't narrow the argument down to that guy. We clearly understand the problem that guy has. Shout out to SKC in the building. Me and SKC had some behind the scenes business going on with my little yellow logo. I'm changing it gray. I'm using the beta in the thumbnails. I guess the beta version of it. I know you got to touch it up, and I was yeah. So I know, and I don't. Hopefully you got my email and you understand that I was there was some things I was waiting on you to touch up, but I'm just using the rough draft in the thumbnails because it looks so much cooler gray. I hate that yellow, but yeah, but hopefully you're working on that. Hopefully you're working on that and you got the message. But shout out to SKC. Where was I? See, I forgot what I was saying. Let's roll.
And he had been bullied like mad, and he had his problems.
Oh, see, and he just confirmed what I said right there when he talked about how this guy would get bullied. Yeah, like I said, if you're that nervous while talking to women, you're that nervous, or you're nervous around men too. You just have an all around problem. So his all around general problem was a problem that manifested itself in his interactions with men as well as women. It was just an all around problem that he had, and people who got a problem like that, then yeah, they're going to have problems. Just to put it plain and simple. If you got that problem, you're going to have some problems. I don't think you can take that particular guy and paint over or gloss over modern women viewing the modern man that's on their that's actually on their level, that's suitable to them, as unsuitable because they have such a high view of themselves, or they think their degree is worth more on the maiden market than what it is, or their head is blown up from social media, whatever the reason is to have women just all high in the clouds, or whatever the reason is that just ultimately change the dating and maiden market to where the things that were sufficient in one day are not sufficient today. But see, and my thing is, I wouldn't even care about that if the things that's sufficient today were things that ultimately mattered or yielded better results and better outcomes. But if we know the things that they find sufficient today does not yield better results and outcomes, and we can see their results and their outcomes as a result of it, then we shouldn't validate it. We should just say, hey, we live in the wild, wild west, law of the jungle. This is the market. This is how bumpy the terrain is. You got to figure out how to ride on it if you want to be successful out here in this mating market. But let's not pretend like they're making sense. Let's not pretend like that's some average at best chick that with a degree in basket weaving who thinks she deserves some high quality man. Let's not pretend like they're making sense. And the thing that a man has to have to get access to her, if he's not that high quality guy, what is it? It'll take some mouthpiece, some good game, get her a rise, get her aroused with your words. Like, I mean, just call it what it is. Just say that's the mating market. That's the mating market. It's the inmates are running the asylum. So you just got to if you're gonna play the game, you gotta play by the current rules. You could say that. You could say that, and you'll be accurate. But let's not pretend like the women make sense. No. Sonny Bravo says 100 with some bullseye, with a bullseye. Shout out to you. Do appreciate that. Shout out to Edward Anderson in the building. He said the issue with JP's logic is there is a best man for the short term sleeping around, and then there is the best man for the long term relationships. You don't get both, and they want both. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know what this is like, but pornography is a big problem. It's a big problem. It's a real curse, that pornography, in my opinion, because it's an easy out. And so we don't know what the consequences of that are. We're starting to understand some of them. But if you were better, you'd be more successful with women. So you have to have that in your mind. And you cannot be angry at women. It's stupid. Women, it's like women being angry at men.
Again, Hafez asked a macro question. He gave a micro answer to the individual man. And that point has to be made. And now we about to get interrupted by a commercial. But to the individual man, yes, you shouldn't be angry at women as a whole. That's the part he's right about. You shouldn't be angry at women as a whole. You should understand who and what they are, and understand what's in front of you, figure out what you got to do and what you're going to do in the situation. That's what a man has to do. That's literally what a man has to do. So in that sense, he's right. But that wasn't in any way, shape, or form the question that Hafez asked. He spin moved into that and made a generally true statement about an individual.
It's a sign of psychological trouble, that.
Tired of
and I apologize for the commercials.
So you feel as though Dr. Peterson is that, for the men who are complaining about the standards of women today and it being elevated, that it's not so much a focus of pointing the finger at them not choosing them, but more so looking in the mirror and asking themselves what can they do to improve themselves to be so desirable, instead of focusing simply in on the inability of what
be a little stronger.
And Hafez took the bait right there. When you ask a question in a certain way, and then somebody doesn't answer the question in the way that you asked it, and they take you down a rabbit hole on a question that you really didn't ask, you're not supposed to just accept their premise and just work from there. You can move on to the next question if you don't want to be disrespectful to Jordan Peterson. I understand that. I understand and having respect for, somebody, and you just, I'm not about to try to hold nobody's feet to the fire. I mean, that ain't how fast roll anyway. But yeah, your question wasn't answered. He asked a question about women and how they view men. He didn't ask him nothing about men who are angry because they can't get a woman. he didn't ask them that question.
Be a little stronger, dress a little better, speak a little more clearly, aim a little higher, like, and practice that, and that'll work. Now, I know that that's more difficult for some
But
people.
Jordan Peterson more or less was saying, get some game. I just want to throw that out there. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You do got to have some game out in this market. It is what it is. But that's what he was saying. He was saying get some game. But what has, for a traditional conservative like him, he should be asking the question, but what has, having game, what results have that yielded? The men who do better, and never mind. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. But that's essentially what he was saying. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You do got to get some game. You got to do you if you want to succeed in this market, it is what it is. You got to play the game. You got to play the current game.
Than others, because some people bear incredibly difficult developmental burdens, and I'm not saying that this is easy, but I'm saying that it's a useful reaction. Like, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Complain about women? I've seen that in men. I went out with a group of men who were having trouble with their wives, and they'd gone off to this like couples retreat, and it was mostly rubbish, although they were trying a bit to get their lives together. And I spent a whole day with them. There were 3 of them, and one of them was a guy that I'd known for quite a while, and every single word he said was a lie. And all these 3 did the whole day was complain about their wives. And I thought, what the hell's wrong with you guys? Like, you picked them. They're these women you picked, and maybe they have their flaws, but they're your wives. And that's how you talk about them. And you think they're the problem? You're so dumb that you don't even know that you shouldn't badmouth your wife just because she's your wife. Like when Tammy and I got married, we had a discussion about that.
I think you shouldn't publicly badmouth your wife, but amongst 4 friends that have known each other for years, yeah, you can get candid and a little raw and that's the one time when you could just let go and say, this bitch, like, if you and your 4 close friends having drinks, like, come on. That's the one time when you can let go. You're saying even in a private moment amongst a group of friends that you're not allowed to say nothing bad about your wife. Now that you picked her thing, that part is true. I get that part is very accurate. You did pick her, and that is what it is.
It's like she has her flaws and I have my flaws, but I'm her husband and she's my wife. And there's a certain respect that goes along with that category, if you have any sense. And so that's an extension of the same thing. It's best to look to yourself. Now and then you can, things have gone rotten in society and you have to bear your responsibility. You have to address that at a social level and a communal level. But fundamentally, it's like, and you do so much less harm if you look to yourself first as the problem. And believe me, you're plenty of problem for you. That's your.
Hey, you know what? Captain Cisco says, "Why is Bernard speaking softly into the mic?" I don't know how I sound in this mic, so I try to be careful with how I sound. And I'm in a location, and even though I did some soundproofing to make sure, because it's on a busy street, and so I can't hear all the cars riding by, but I haven't exactly soundproofed other areas of is. I don't know if the guy in the suite or the office or whatever if he got. I don't know if I have a neighbor now. I don't know if he could hear me, so I was gonna try to cut back on being super loud until I figure that out. And this damn SM7V sound funny, and I got these earbuds in my ear, so my voice don't sound like my voice to me. So maybe that's why I'm talking different. But I'm not trying to talk softly into the microphone. Like, no, that's not what's going on. But shout out to you. Red Alert in the building says somebody needs to introduce this guy to Al Bundy. Right on. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Appreciate the $5 super. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Appreciate KD in the building dropping 5 on it. He says, Bernard, you sound clear. Do not believe the hype. Some grown man. I just want your right on. Respect. Been gone, Indigenous TV. I ain't even reading that one. But yeah, hit the like button.
You're all the problem you need for you. That's for sure.
So what would you say, Dr. Peterson, to the young men who are pushing back on this idea, and the young men who say, like, traditionally speaking, there was a sort of mating where if you were a guy, you're a middle class, you can get a middle class partner. You're a guy making $40,000 a year, you can get a certain level of partner. That in some communities, in some environments, because of degrees or things like that, if you're a guy, making $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year, and you're doing relatively well, that the women in your cohort who are similar partners to you may not desire you. Instead of wanting a partner making 60, want a partner making 80. So what would you say to those guys?
Mostly I'd say that was an excuse. But I wouldn't go farther than that, because I don't know how to answer those questions in some ways at a collective level, which is why I focus on the individual. If someone came to me and
now that part right there, that is a part of it where I'm tempted to give him a wholesale excuse for everything, because oh damn, I didn't know I was off screen. Hold on, let me get back on. For that reason right there, I'm almost ready to give him a full-blown excuse, even though I think #0 was right that he's caving into the gynocracy or whatever. Zero, the #0 is probably right. When he says he does not know how to break it down from a collective level, and at some other point in the stream, he's going to use the word, sociology versus psychology. He doesn't word it exactly like that, but just follow what I'm saying here. If you're analyzing these things from a sociological perspective, you're looking at the group. If you're analyzing these things from a psychological perspective, you're looking at the individual. So if he's conceding up front that he doesn't know how to answer those questions from a broad collective sociological perspective, I understand his direct focus on that individual who needs to do what he needs to do in the given situation. It's sort of explained like this. Like for example, if somebody was to say obesity in America is a problem, okay? Obesity in America is a problem. And if somebody asks you the question, okay, well, what do we do about that problem? What do we do about this problem of obesity in America? And, you look at somebody like Michelle Obama. She attempted to tackle that problem from a broad sociological perspective. She tried to go and inception the kids with different ideas about how they should, eat vegetables and the whole works. She went and did all of that. She went on Sesame Street doing a song and dance with vegetables and all kind of stuff. And even my kids complained because they were, they were in school, and the vending machines didn't have any more Reese's peanut butter cups and Starburst. It was like healthy snacks and the whole works. So she's trying to, ultimately, and from a collective group standpoint, change the way that we view health. Then there's, the issue of, and I don't buy none of these reasons, but they throw out there, the food deserts, or unhealthy food is cheaper and easier to get. You can just run through a drive-through. And then there's the the healthier food, Whole Foods, is expensive, and all of that works. Okay, so what do we do to make it to where the unhealthy food isn't as easy and cheap, and the healthy food isn't as expensive and harder to get? Even though I don't necessarily buy it, but that's somebody looking at a big problem of Americans being fat and trying to figure out how to solve it in some broad collective macro kind of way. If Jordan Peterson is saying, I don't know how to deal with a problem like that, I'm a clinician. I talk to the individual. And so my only advice is when I'm talking to an individual, I just say stop eating all the goddamn time. That is the right answer. So that's why I don't I I don't knock somebody from taking a question and looking at it purely from a psychological perspective, meaning I'm going to deal with the individual. I'm going to deal with the individual. If the problem of Americans being obese is you, only you can prevent forest fires, you need to back away from the plate. Shout out to Obsidian. I mean, back away from the table. You need to stop stuffing food in your mouth. If if you're only willing to deal with that problem from an individual basis, then fine. That is absolutely, positively, 100% the right answer. So the only thing I have a problem with is if somebody tries to validate somebody's bad macro argument or macro position, like Tracy Abrams or no Stacey Abrams when she tried to say that Trump is the reason why they're fat. We live in a Trump era and all of this and all of that, and our stress makes us eat more because we're living in the Trump era and the food doesn't. Da, da, da. Okay, we're not going to say we're not going to validate their nonsense by making a good individual argument. We still can say that no, the macro situation is bad because of this situation right here. So you can look at the whole dating and mating game as Hafez laid out the question properly. He said that, yes, the dating and mating game is messed up because there's a lot of average women who think too high of themselves for whatever reason, and they don't want the average guy that's actually suitable and on their level. It's enough data points we can look at to show that that's the case. So once you know that that's right, and once you know that that's big part of the reason for the separation, you don't get to flip it around to the individual and say, oh, well, they're not choosing you because of A, B, and C, or they're right for not choosing you, or you just need to learn how to tap dance harder or deliver whatever the market wants. It's true that you do need to figure out what the market want and figure out how to win, but the macro problem is still the macro problem for the exact reasons that was laid out, for the exact reasons that were laid out. The Jordan Peterson isn't right excerpt. All right. We already 1 hour
Told me
in.
that. The first thing I would do is listen to them for like 10 sessions just to find out what they're thinking and to find out what the problem actually is, because they think they know what the problem is. It's these picky women, and that could be the problem. For them it might be, maybe there's a demographic issue or community issue that I don't understand. So I wouldn't assume that I knew what the problem was, but those sorts of things in my experience have to be solved at a high level of detail, like at high resolution. So let's say you are having trouble finding a mate, and you think, well, I'm reasonably symmetrical, I'm in decent physical condition, I'm young, I have a decent salary, but still, okay, well, that's a deep dive issue. I don't know what's wrong. We'd have to talk about that. And I do mostly listen. It's like, you seem okay. So why don't you have a partner? Well, that's a deep mystery. Like, it's really a deep mystery. It's nothing trivial. There's no simple solution to that. And so
maybe it's not as deep of a mystery. Maybe Hafez asked you a question that had the answer embedded in the question, and you're looking over it and essentially saying that, hey, you need to get more game. Maybe that's what's happening there. But I'm a firm believer in the market is what the market is. No matter how bumpy the terrain is, you got to figure out how to drive on it. Is what it is.
again, that's why I don't really do sociology in some sense, except insofar as I understand the role of the individual in relationship to society.
Mm.
So I would say,
And notice he said he doesn't do sociology. So Hafez is doing sociology with that. I normally break things down from a sociological perspective. You know, a lot of what the manosphere has done, particularly the black manosphere, has broken things down from a sociological perspective. And one of the spin moves was people saying, you just mad because you can't get the woman you want, or you just mad because you ain't getting pussy from who you want to get pussy from. That's what people that's what people ultimately said as a spin move from the accurate analysis of the whole social modern landscape and all the social dynamics between men and women. That's ultimately what happened.
I would say to someone like that, practically, if you want to do something, go see a cognitive behavioral psychologist and take the problem apart and strategize. That you'll figure out how to fix it.
That's good. That's good because
it's a serious problem, right?
Yeah, definitely a serious problem. And I think what ends up happening is that, like you said, too many people create a one size fit all problem to to what they're going on. So they say, well, the reason I'm unsuccessful is because of A. But in reality, if you could talk to a wiser individual and sit down, you might realize that the problem isn't aka the women. Maybe the problem is that you're lacking confidence, you're lacking communication skill, you're picking the wrong kind of individuals, and there's a myriad of varieties of issues instead of just simply making it just a one size fit all problem.
Now, that's something that does legitimately happen in the sphere, where people will look at the talking points and try to say that this particular talking point is the reason for this. And you might be right, but if you're talking about your individual life, they are right. You have to look at yourself as an individual and figure things out. And sometimes, we see that all the time, where people will just pull a stock talking point out of a box and pull it out and say, hey, this is the reason for this. Okay, are you talking about in general, or are you talking about you as an individual? Because you're talking about you as an individual, yes, more details may be necessary. That part is absolutely true. And shout out to Jessica X. She says he does dodge questions, but he's trying to explain it the best he can. The best he can from his field. That is true. And that's why I gave him a slight pass and say, hey, he's looking at it from a sociological, he's looking at it from a psychological perspective and dealing with the individual, counseling the individual and figuring out what the individual's problem is, instead of looking at on a macro scale how the landscape changed drastically. So yeah, that is legitimately what he's doing. That is legitimately what he's doing. But I don't like how he seemingly validated the women who are complaining about not being able to find enough mates on their level after a generation of women fought to get to the point to where they could be as successful as men, and they got just about almost as successful as men. And now, wait, hold on. We need men to be more successful now so we can still have a man that's, better than us or higher up than us. So that Jordan Peterson has picked apart that flaw drastically in other areas and other arenas. Now he did give a pass for that. As somebody who has surgically picked apart plenty of feminists on the wage gap, as Jordan Peterson has, when Hafez is talking to him about the unintended consequences of that wage gap, to spin move to, oh no, the guy, you just need to brush your teeth and work on your hygiene and make sure you iron your clothes and speak with confidence. Like, no, that just doesn't work as a response to what Hafez put out there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's also in some ways a lot less depressing to particularize like that, because you find out a bunch of problems you don't have, right? So you can just those aren't my problems. It turns out my problem is this, and then that might be non-trivial, and probably is, but at least it's not everything, right? And I also think that when we talk about things like climate change, it's like, Well, really, there's no such thing as the climate. It's not a useful word when you're trying to solve a problem. And what do you mean by change exactly? These are really low resolution concepts, and all the solutions are high resolution. And it requires particularized expertise to solve some genuine actionable problem. You have to decompose the problem. And then you have to be satisfied with addressing some micro element of it. There's no fixing climate change. That conceptually, it's just an indication of unsophisticated thinking. That's all it is. And then there's an insistence. Well, climate change is real. Well, what do you mean by real? What do you mean by change? What do you mean by climate? How much do you know about climate? And I'm just picking on that because it's a real overgeneralization. It's not helpful. And when you talk to real experts, they've particularized. So I'll give you an example. Glenn Schellenberger, I hope I got that right. I just talked to him. He wrote this book recently called
Fair Use.
Apocalypse Never. And he was a climate activist, an eco activist for a long time. But you know, he kept delving into things and particularizing them. And then he wrote this book. And one of the things he said was, he talked to an MIT scientist who said, if you want to knock carbon dioxide emissions down, the best thing to do would be to work to help India burn more coal. It's like, who would guess that except a particularized expert? The reason for that is that it's better than wood. And it's a pathway on the way to natural gas and perhaps nuclear. But it's not obvious. Because in the short term, it makes the problem worse, or it seems to. And so that's particularized knowledge. And you have to particularize your problem. Why can't men find women to date? That's not your problem. Your problem is why you can't find the woman you want.
But asking a question from a sociological perspective, it's nothing wrong with that. You can't stop people from thinking big. That's like his climate change analogy. That's like saying that, you know, what do we do? What can we do to reduce? How can we reduce carbon emissions in the world today? Well, that's not the question. It's about what can you as an individual do to decrease your carbon footprint. Wait. That doesn't solve the problem. If I turn all my lights off and drive some green energy friendly car, okay, the problem still exists. Yes, I can solve my individual problem, but the large macro problem is still there. The large macro problem is still there. So I not feeling with where he tried to take that. Not feeling where he tried to take that. You can ask the larger question. You can ask the larger question, a larger macro question from a sociological perspective. Now, if the individual is beaten up on that larger sociological macro question and using that as his backdrop to vent and fire off and tee off about his personal individual shortcomings that he's not doing anything about, then you can talk to that individual. But the big question, the big questions of whether or not that there are some unintended consequences of the second wave of feminism that affects the dating market today, that big question can be asked, and there is a big answer to it. Whether or not climate change is being caused by humans is going to have a largely negative effect on the earth and human beings living on the earth at some point in the future, some 30, 50, 100 years from now. That is a big question. You don't stop people from asking the big question just to say that, oh, no, you just make sure you turn your lights off at night to save energy. Like, no, that's a dodge. That's a dodge.
Yeah. And you have to assume that's your problem, because otherwise you have to assume that it's the women's problem. And really, they're all wrong and you're right. Really? Lucky you. Maybe you are. You're an undiscovered gem of some sort. Probably not.
Oh no, that was
just go with the analogy, people. I know a lot of y'all don't accept climate change as a thing, and y'all think the Rona is a big farce, a pandemic. I shouldn't even use that term. I messed up my algorithm. But just go with the analogies. Go with the analogies. lean with it and rock with it. But this is almost over. I'm about to put the link in the chat.
The call always back to accountability. And so as one who's been married for so many decades, I think one of the challenges that a lot of men do is they aim for the wrong women, or they pick the wrong women. So in your personal experience from your years of marriage, and there's also years of study, what would you say are things that men need to be focusing in on when it's trying to select a woman for a long-term marriage partner?
Well, you want someone honest. That's really, really important. Someone who will do her best to tell the truth. And my wife swore she'd do that before we got married, and she has. Probably better than I have. And so that's a rock, man, at the bottom of things, you know. So and you can't underplay the role of sexual attraction. And that's a mysterious thing. And so that's crucial as far as I'm concerned, and can't be.
So I have a real question about
Yeah.
that, Dr. Peterson. So you mentioned pornography, and we do countless pieces of content to be able to help young men overcome that issue and provide tons of resources to help them support them. So what I've noticed that happens sometimes is because of years of watching pornography, the men's sexual attraction becomes warped. And so how can a man whose sexual attraction to women has become warped to the extreme ends due to so much consumption of pornography, how can that man go back to now being attracted to, more natural looking women, or more women that could be around their lives instead of the projected?
Well, deprivation is helpful.
I would love for somebody, and I just don't buy. I mean, it may very well be true, but I don't buy that a guy, because he's looking at stuff on the internet, I guess I just don't buy the notion that because he's seeing things on the internet, he's seeing women on the internet, he's seeing women on, the porn sites or whatever, that somehow that's going to warp his understanding of what he actually can get out on the market. Goes back to what I said, and we got Obsidian down in the back chat, about to bring Obsidian up on this one, but yeah, it goes back to what I said. Men have no choice but to figure out where their lane is, because that makes a difference between having a sex life and not having a sex life. There are individuals, and shout out to the old man who I'm about to bring up momentarily, who it was at one point in his life, his lane was not very well, so he took a knee. Most men don't do that. Most men soldier through it. So I think that's a way to try to pin some charges on men that is, I would say, no evidence that men that just have some heightened view of what they should be getting, or how women are supposed to look, are supposed to act, and I don't know, do have a heightened view on how they're supposed to act. They are supposed to act right. But as far as them just being just insta baddies, put an Instagram baddie in every pot, no, men do not operate like that. It's countless numbers of data that shows that men find, I think it's 60 or 70% of the women on dating apps attractive. Women only find about 10 to 20% of men on dating apps attractive. It's women. And the problem is women. But shout out to Max City Productions in the building. Says Jordan Peterson was once told, let me blow that up a little bit more so I can see it. Jordan Peterson was once told we have to band together to solve climate change. His answer was no. You have to individually change your life to solve it. So at least he's consistent. Yeah, boom. I can respect somebody who has internal logic and consistency. I can respect that. He doesn't believe in large scale collective solutions. He believes in slapping an individual to do what they need to do to solve whatever problem they need to solve. So hey, I can lean with that and rock with that. But shout out to Max City Productions, a channel member. Shout out to all the channel members. And before I bring up the old man, we're going to hear a very, very, very brief word from a sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by the Division 6 comic book, created and produced by Michael Varner and executive producer Theodore Young. Division 6 is a James Bond meets Mission Impossible like geopolitical thriller. The protagonist is Seth Banks, an African American male genius in cryptology and economics that secretly works for a rogue organization of the CIA called Division 6. Be sure to click the link in the chat room or in the video description to view the comic book. New chapters are added bi-weekly. All right. Let's proceed to, okay, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing here. It's different commands on StreamYard. There I go. Oh, we got Jessica X in the building as well. So welcome to the show, both of you, Obsidian. I'm handing it over to you. You got the floor. You got wait. You get the floor before you have the mic. Really quick. Leo Anthony in the building says Jordan Peterson hasn't been in the dating game since the 90s. Fair point. But I tried not
The
to.
80s.
I tried not to go
Got
there.
married in the 80s.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson hasn't been in the game since the 90s, actually the 80s for Obsidian's correction. This topic is not something he thinks deep on, and he has no idea what dating is like in 2021. I take his opinion in this with a grain of salt. Yeah, I understand you're taking it. Well, he counsels men. He's not in the game. That's true, but I mean, I'll let your point stand. He's been out the game for a minute, so I'm not even going to try to argue you down from that. But so yeah, I'm going to pass the mic to the old man. Excuse me. Going to pass the mic to the old man in the building. You got the floor. You got the mic.
If Miss Jessica X is here, I would have, being the American gentleman that I am, ladies first.
Okay, Jessica.
Why, thank you, Obsidian.
You're welcome.
I see a lot of people have issue with it, and I've looked at the video, and he does, as I said to you before, he does dodge questions, but he prefaced what he said with, he does not look at the macro, he looks at the micro. So he doesn't focus on society, he focuses on the individual. And he's not completely wrong there, because the individual is what makes society. So even when we're looking at what he said about climate change, that it's not an overall thing, it's something that as an individual you make those changes. And if individuals make those changes, guess what happens? We see a change in society, because individuals make the society. So he's not wrong. He's not out of his depth. He's just looking at it on a, like I said, a micro level. And that's needed sometimes, because it's not a one size fits all. It's not. Even we can have these conversations and you can talk about women who are overweight. It doesn't pertain to me, but it's still a problem that's out there in society. So it has to be dealt with. So as an individual, we're all facing different problems, and it could be applicable to you. If it doesn't apply, then on. The number one thing that I had a problem with is that if men implement all these changes, and they're doing this, they're looking better, dressing better, making more money, all of that stuff, what then? Because the women aren't improving, so the problem doesn't change. It just means that you're better, but your counterpart isn't better. And if anything, if you go out into the dating market like that as a man who earns more, looks better, you're getting an even worse deal than you are now. So that's the part that I couldn't get with. But other than that, if you're looking at yourself on an individual level, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, one small correction. He didn't preface what he said with he's looking at the individual. He said that later into the dialogue he said that, and that's why I had to, later into it, give him a slight pass from what he said at the beginning, because in the beginning Hafez did ask the question from a macro standpoint, and he just moved away from it and start talking about, well, if you can't get a woman, you this, that, and this. And that wasn't necessarily the question. So, but he did later explain that when it comes to, and that somebody pointed out in the super chat, that when it comes to climate change, or when it comes to, larger scale problems with 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 between men and women. He doesn't look at the macro. He only looks at the micro. However, and I pointed this out in my little opening diatribe, he is somebody who has broken down, a lot of the, effects of feminism. He's broken that down. A lot of conversations he's had with women. He knows how to look at it from the macro perspective. So I think it could be the case that he conveniently plays with the macro and micro, like a lot of people do. A lot of people do that. But I can respect a certain level of consistency with everything. If he's just saying, hey, I don't care about it from that perspective. I'm just going to look at the individual. Climate change is a problem. Okay. Are you turning your lights off at night? Obesity in America is a problem. Okay. But you're an individual. You back away from the plate. Yeah. Okay. A lot of Americans are still fat, diabetes, and all these health issues driving up healthcare, being a strain on the taxpayer, and blah, 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 blah. All of that is still an issue that needs to get dealt with. I talk about how Michelle Obama actually tried to tackle it on a macro scale. I don't know if she succeeded or even moved the needle, but she tried to tackle it on a macro scale. But to your point, the war needs to be fight at all fronts. Some people need to be grabbed by the collar and say, back away from the plate. And then people like Michelle Obama need to change the nutrition standards at the schools to try to get kids trained up for the next generation to eating healthier foods. But I think one of the results of it is my kids, they personally hated Michelle Obama because they were at ground zero when they went to school one day, and there was no more Reese's peanut butter cups in the vending machines. Like they literally like walked in like, what the, and it was like healthy snacks. So
we had that over here. We had a guy called Jamie Oliver try and make like the school dinner system healthy, and everybody hated him because then the meals sucked afterwards. We used to have great meals. You'd have like your nice dessert. You'd have like chocolate cake or a caramel tart, and people loved it. And he came in and just changed it all up, and people hated him for it.
Yep. No. Yeah. Yeah. We had the same thing over here. Shout out to CJ to MBM in the building. Says black folks just let me make that bigger so I can see it. Says black folks just don't want advice. If he was single, we'd say, how does he know where's his woman? And that's why I was, I didn't want to give I think that was Low End Theory a full point on that comment that he made, because I believe regardless of somebody's current dating and mating situation, we can look at what they're saying on the merits of the points that they're making, and not just ask, okay, well, are you married? Are you this? Are you that? I mean, people do that to Kevin Samuels, and I ain't no fan of that either. I think what you're saying has validity regardless of your relationship status. But so shout out to you. I do agree with that point. But all right,
we go CJ there. Just quickly, one thing I wanted to say, this space is all about how us as individuals deal with society. That's mainly what it's about. We're talking about societal issues and how we as individuals navigate through that society. And if that's what it's about, we need to analyze two things. We need to analyze ourselves as individuals, and we also need to analyze society. So he's not wrong. Both of those perspectives are needed.
Well, he's only wrong in that he tried to completely negate and take a crap on one of them and tries to say, no, that's just you making an excuse for your current condition. That's the only area where I would say that he's wrong. Like that part where he started when he was saying the women are right. Like, no, the market is what the market is. They could choose men for whatever reason they choose men for, but we could still analyze that on a macro scale and say, yeah, these are the outcomes of their choices. So that's the only area where I couldn't get jiggy with what he was saying, even though, yes, people do have to look inside. You can try to analyze the macro problem and even try to solve the big macro problem, but if your individual life is all messed up, then what's the point? You work, go clean up, like they say, clean up your own house before you start worrying about other people's house. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, you are right, and the war should be fought on many fronts. So in that sense, you are absolutely right. Shout out to where we at? Oh yeah, we going to, oh no, Ed. Okay, there goes Ed. Ed is back. All right, go ahead, old man, you got it. Okay, Obsidian is doing that.
Well, Obsidian be here for the long haul, but let's get.
Yeah, there we are. I was muted.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a couple more seconds out of respect.
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. I was muted. My bad. Okay, so I was saying to Jesse yesterday that I had intended on going live yesterday, but I saw that she was already rocking and rolling. So I said, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do it tomorrow. But I see it's making the rounds, the Jordan Peterson interview with Hafez, the roommate. I don't know what's been going on with Chris of late, but in any event, it's been making the rounds. I saw Yanni Red talking about it and giving, which is what Jesse was doing as well. She was giving her, commentary on Yanni Red's commentary on the Jordan Peterson interview with Hafez of the roommates. Several things I'll say as a kind of preview to what we're going to do tonight. The first thing is, I think this is the first time we've actually witnessed the good doctor, who everybody knows I'm a fan of. So I say this as a friend. I think this is the first time that we witnessed the good doctor completely say that that he's out of his lane when it comes to a sociological perspective. Any good professional will let you know and inform you up front what their area of expertise is or is not. So in that sense, he did a good thing. He let everybody know he's not a sociologist. Here's the problem. One, this has not prevented the good doctor from weighing in on sociological questions before. I'll give an example.
Thank you, because I was struggling to find an exact example, but I knew that he had done it. So I'm glad you got an example right in hand. So go ahead.
Example. Hierarchies. Hierarchies, by definition, are not individual. They are by definition in conjunction with other individuals, hence a communal or group endeavor. If you are a man seeking to get up the status hierarchy, who you competing with? As a matter of fact, the good Dr. Jordan Peterson has pointed out that this is not just something to be observed among human males. You can observe it among lobsters. You can even observe it among trees, all of which are groups. So he has weighed in on group activity. Sociology speaks to the group activity. A society is a group of people. So he has weighed in on that. Another example. With regard to the transgender piece. Again, that's not an individual issue. That's a group issue. What made Dr. Jordan Peterson a household name was his standing against the Canadian government group, talking about how to treat other people, another group. Another example number 3, the wage gap. Dr. Jordan Peterson has exhaustively, repeatedly addressed this. Again, that's not an individual piece. Women don't see it that way. Women see that as a group issue. So I'm just simply saying that it would be inaccurate for Dr. Peterson to say that he doesn't do sociology. He does when it suits him to do so. I think the punt here was he wasn't willing to apply his same reasoning to women. For example, in his interview, when he says that the women are right, would it also be fair to say, Dr. Jordan Peterson, for the sisters who say that they can't find a man on their level, all the brothers are locked up, all the brothers in jail, all the brothers on drugs, all the brothers ain't in school, all the brothers are dusty, all the brothers are on the down low? Would it be right to say, Dr. Jordan Peterson, that the reason why the brothers that you want don't deal with you because they're right? They're right not to want to deal with you, sister. Would Dr. Jordan Peterson be so adamant in saying that?
Good.
See, that's the problem that I'm having with the good doctor. The first problem I have with him is that he goes right up to the water's edge with this gender piece. Whether he intended to or not, and we can debate that, the simple truth of the matter is that he is a something of a love guru. He is something of a dating coach for young men. He is, in a sense. But he doesn't want to go all the way to the water's edge. He goes just up to the water's edge, but he don't want to dive into the deep end of the pool. You cannot address these issues in a vacuum, and this is where his focus on the individual falls apart. If I may be so bold, this is the brilliant genius of the Book of Obsidian. You know this firsthand, Bernard, because the Book of Obsidian is divided into two parts: the macro and the micro. And I did it that way on purpose because they need each other. There's an interplay between the individual and the collective, between the individual and society, between the micro and the macro. There's an interplay between the two. You cannot look at one without looking at the other. They play off each other. That's the reason why I wrote it in that way. I start off with the macro, looking at the broad sweep of the 21st century Black American dating and mating landscape. Then I drill down to the micro, to the individual level. What you, as an individual Black man, in this time, in this day, can do to have better outcomes in the dating and mating market, as it's known as the 21st century Black American mating market. And I took inspiration, and here's something else Dr. Jordan Peterson is out of his depth with. Black Americans have led the way in sociology. The very first sociologist of any repute that was an American, we're not talking about Alexis Tocqueville, he was a Frenchman in the 18th century. I'm talking about in the 20th century. The very first true sociologist America has had in the 20th century was a Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois with the Souls of Black Folk. He was followed by E. Franklin Frazier, Harold Cruz, William Julius Wilson. We have a long and proud tradition of being sociologists. And that's where I drew my inspiration from in writing the Book of Obsidian, looking back to our proud tradition of sociologists. So Dr. Jordan Peterson is out of his depth on two counts. First, that he's not a sociologist. We get that. He admitted that. But secondarily, and this is where I got to go to Hafez, where his fundamental weakness is, he don't understand that Adolf's life. And neither does Hafez. Hafez is too young. Number one, Hafez is too young. He's out of his depth in that sense. And number two, he ain't Adolf's. He don't know that Adolf's life. But the old man does. And so I say to both of them, it's a both and proposition. It's not enough for you to just get your act together. You have to look at the lay of the land too. As Jesse rightly pointed out, you go ahead and get your act together, but the sisters are still trashed. Then what? It's both and. It's a both and proposition. And that's the reason why the Book of Obsidian is the #1 seller on Amazon. Get your copy today.
All right. Shout out to the old man. Definitely knocked it out the park as he usually does on these issues, these type of issues. Captain Cisco in the building said debate between Peterson and Edward Anderson will be like Anakin versus Count Dooku, the second fight. Shout out to Captain Cisco. Mr. Fantastic in the building says Jordan Peterson. Let me blow that up, make sure I can see it. Mr. Fantastic says Jordan Peterson is one of the greatest minds of our time, but he is missing the mutation, the evolution of normal male female interaction and dynamic. Also, he has to play dumb because of cancel culture. #0 was right. Yeah, we alluded to that earlier.
I don't know if I'd say he's one of the greatest minds of our time. I mean, he is a very bright guy, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's just, what makes him stand out is his willingness at a mainstream level to kind of point out, really what is obvious if people really want to look at it. That's really all it is. Now, he is a bright guy, but I'm not going to put him on like he need to be #1 in time or some shit. But that's just me.
I'd say I don't think he's missing the mutation or devolution of normal male-female interactions and dynamics. He's focused very heavily on feminism and how that has caused the mutation and the devolution of those dynamics. So I don't think there's something that he's missed out on per se. I wouldn't say that.
The problem with Jordan Peterson is Jordan Peterson does not he is a product of the system. And when I say that, I know that'll sound like I can kind of take that off the rails, but he's not the type of person that would agree with folks having a scorched earth policy of completely, like, for instance, let's say, because he represents white males. I mean, I'm not even going to act like he doesn't. And that's not to say that what he says has no value in the general sense, but that is where his perspective comes from. So when you hear the things he says, even negative on certain things, he's saying it from a perspective of white men needing to be necessary to keep the system up. So if white men check out, like they have a scorched earth policy, like things like MGTOW and stuff like that, he's going to be against that, because he's not going to see that as good for white men in general in the long run. He's also not going to see it as good for the general world, which his version of the world, the Western world, which is propped up, in his mind, which is mainly propped up by white men as far as like the controls. I mean, that just is what it is. So this is why he has this no quitter, don't quit. It's messed up, but you kind of gotta, I don't want to say alpha your way through it, but you got to push your way through it, kind of thing. It doesn't come off in the same way that like we're used to hearing it, because but that's what it is. And I don't have a problem. I think Jordan Peterson says a lot of good things. I would love, who I would love for Jordan Peterson to talk to? What's the dude's name that was in the 90s, the radio show? You know who I'm talking about, Obsidian. He had a radio station, white guy, basically was Red Pill before Red Pill.
You mean Tom Likas?
Yeah, that's who I want to have a back and forth interview conversation with, and I think that would be very interesting. But anyway, but as far as this thing about women are right, he's trying to say that is the market. And let me focus. I gotta gather my thoughts because it's been a minute. Looking at the macro versus micro thing, here's the problem. Micro issues don't really solve macro problems like that. And you have people that are in this space where they fundamentally believe that you just got to add up enough micro pieces to equal the macro. That's not really how that works. And that's the problem. There's a reason why micro and macro are different. There is a reason. Now, granted, as an individual, here's the thing. The reason why we talk about the group, whether it's the black community or whatever, is because we all technically depend on the group to a certain extent. Even like in America, rich people can only let America to kind of fall off or collapse so much before it starts affecting them in a way that they don't want to be affected. This is why it's important to have a strong military. It's important to have certain things. Like people want to live in a gated community. People don't want to have to live in a gated community.
Well, I'll say this as far as the macro, and I alluded to this, but I just figured out a better way to word it than what I did in my opening diatribe. In order for the macro to be affected, it takes a large-scale cultural change. And without a large-scale cultural change, you're not going to affect the micro, the individual, at a mass at mass. You're not going to affect a massive amount of individuals unless there's some large scale cultural change. In order to spearhead a large scale cultural change, the macro has to get dealt with.
Yeah,
that's the best way.
And let me also say this, because I probably won't be up here that long. This is a contribution I want to make to this conversation.
Okay.
One of the things that really pisses me off about how people mislabel the black manosphere is they try to judge us on our ability to solve micro problems. Mm-hmm. We're not fucking here for that. We never were here for that. Like when it comes to, if you come over here saying I can't get women, okay, it's very obvious how to solve that problem. Like I'm gonna say, if you say you can't get black women, I'm gonna say, okay, have you tried to date other races of women? Well, no. Why not? Well, why should I? Because I need to know, is it really you're not culturally compatible with black women, or that you're just a loser? Now, if you see that all women you're having a problem with, like white women, Latin women, you don't got to date them all, then I know, okay, it's not really black women. You're a loser. We need to fix that. You know, but what black men like to do is and I've learned this, a lot of black men, they refuse to date out. What they want to do is we always had this conversation as if black women are only ones that exist, and but here's the thing, nobody never talks about, like, nobody really writes, other than Tariq Nasheed writes books on how to get black women. It's always how to get women. But then you have a lot of black men that they really, and that's cool. I respect you for only wanting to date black women, but they don't really say that. So when the conversation becomes you're lame, you're this, you're that, it's got to be kept in a context of black men dealing with black women. And that's a choice that black men already make, which means they choose to invest in whatever BS that the black women are doing, because they choose to accept that by only dating them. So my point to saying that is, when people say that we can't solve people's micro problems, the solutions are there. If you choose to only date black women, then you need to deal with black women on the terms they want to be dealt with, which means whatever they're wanting out of a man, you need to match that, whether it's swag, whatever you want it, or find a black woman and meet what you want. Otherwise, the capitalism runs its course. But see, that conversation never gets had. So what happens is we get labeled as, well, we're just complaining about a problem and we don't have any solutions. The solutions are obvious. Like, for instance, and I'm not trying to make this about black women, but if you want to date black women, first thing you should do is get your ass in the gym, because you know what they like. You know, and my point is, we know that we had the solutions already out there. So we don't talk about the micro solutions. We talk about, if you want to have a community, then this is what it needs to have a community. This is where both parties are going to have to basically come together in good faith. We really don't talk about the micro, because the micro is common sense. This is why we get a lot of our detractors that say the stupid stuff they say, because they like to play fast and loose with micro and macro, and they do that on purpose in order to attack us without having to defend the dumb stuff they say. I just want to really point that out. I know I just lied. I know.
All right, no, yeah, you was on a roll. You was on a roll. Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, shout out to Big Poke Dog. Appreciate the super chat. And RM and Gail. I know y'all real good at dropping everybody links. So all the people on the panel, yeah, go ahead and be dropping their links. And the content creators who have content creator super chat, or if somebody when content creator super chat, drop their links too. Yeah, I wanna
shout out to Gail, by the way.
Yeah, I do appreciate Gail and RM. Both of them, they be working hard. They de facto unpaid employees to Black YouTube.
They're no, they're interns.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, definitely shout out to them, and be dropping people links.
Of course, y'all niggas want a black woman working for free.
Yeah. Pablo Fresco Bar haven't said anything.
What's up, man?
So yeah, you got the floor, you got the mic. Shout out again to Big Poke Dog.
Yeah. So I have two basic problems with Professor Peterson. The first is, one of the first things that came out of his mouth was, well, you need to do better. And in the areas that he means to, quote unquote, do better, implies that you're working in a culture where, quote unquote, the criteria of doing better matters or is weighed with the same weight. And that just tells me he is really speaking from a white man's perspective, from white American culture. Right?
He's Canadian.
Yes. So, he's Canadian. Okay. Even worse. Even worse. Wow. So, that's my first beef, because we all know in Black America, necessarily, quote unquote, doing better does not necessarily equal a better result. In what world would three men like Dennis Sperling, Kevin Samuels, and the lead attorney be over 45-year-old single men? The answer is they wouldn't be.
For what it's worth, I think all of them were. I know Kevin was married twice. I think was lead attorney married. I don't know if Dennis Sperling and lead attorney was ever married.
Lead attorney was, yeah.
Yeah, he was. So they were married. They were married. So understand your point, though. Understand your point.
Yeah.
Understand where you're going.
And if they were, they wouldn't be divorced for long. So I got that out of the way. The second part is Hafez is interviewing the wrong expert. The actual expert he should be interviewing is a man by the name of Dr. Sam Richards at Penn State University. He's a sociologist, not a psychologist. And this is one of my beefs with some of the manosphere ideologies. This is where I get a little bit elitist on the no college shit. Because if you don't understand the difference between a psychologist and a sociologist, when it's dealing with larger cultural issues, then yeah, we need to get you more education and not worry about the damn student loan. Because I paid mine back, you can pay yours. So the man he needed to talk to is Dr. Sam Richards, and I put his link in the chat. Maybe Bernard, one day you should have him on.
But you gotta remember, this is YouTube, and he got the person that's gonna have the most credibility, the most fame, as well as give him the most authority. Also, he was gonna mirror his points that Hafiz likes to. Jordan Peterson mirrors what Hafiz's ideology on this topic.
Self-improvement.
Yeah, as well as he's very known as, like, all the people that you just said that don't know the difference, they know his name and they know he's an anti-feminist, so, and that's all they need to know. Now, you're right by saying they should know more, but in the global mind, that's how they're gonna see it. So he got the right person for what his agenda is. But yeah,
I don't think his advice of self-improvement is necessarily wrong. We can all do with self-improvement. You see, this is how we stay away from excellence. We stay away from excellence because as soon as the topic of self-improvement and being more productive and striving to meet goals, we shy away from it. We should be self-improving constantly. We should be striving constantly. That is how you achieve excellence. And then at the same time, we're ignoring, we go back to this micro versus macro thing. And Edward, one of the things that you brought up is, are you limiting yourself to Black women? If you are, open up your pool. That is a micro solution to a macro problem. The macro problem would be the culture. Really. Within the culture, we've been told you can only date Black women. It has to be black or nothing. That is a cultural macro problem.
Yeah.
A micro solution is open up your dating pool, SYSBM, all of these other movements. Those are micro solutions to macro problems. And we cover those things in this space. But as soon as he's bringing up these micro solutions, and these are solutions that, listen, even forget about women. These are solutions that are going to improve your life in every single way. If you have more money, you have more power. If you dress better, the world sees you in a different way. They treat you differently. It helps you in your career. You get up the corporate ladder. You get into different social circles, all of these different things. So even aside from women, it's still going to help you in your life. We shouldn't ignore the self-improvement piece.
Well, that's not what Pablo. I didn't want to cut you off, but that's not what Pablo meant at all.
No,
Pablo.
No, I was saying to what you said, Edward.
Okay, so but here's the thing: to Hafiz uses self-improvement as this fill in the blank when I don't have an answer thing, or when I don't want to really tell truth to power, because ultimately I remember. I like Hafiz, but Hafiz is Derrick Jackson like.
I agree with that. I agree with Ed on that point. Ed, I'd like to ask you a question, if I may. Could you give us an example of what you mean when you said Hafez will kind of punt to and default to the self-improvement thing instead of speaking truth to power? Could you give us an example or two of that, please?
Well, I mean, Hafiz is only going to go so far to really call. He's not going to call it straight. Like, he's not gonna, and let's be clear here. Hafiz is not let's take the Ado stuff off, because I don't think you're right to call him out on that. But let's take that off. From a feminism standpoint, to how that affects, you don't even see Hafiz go as far as Jordan Peterson does. He's gonna say, well, feminism is really just women being empowered to, you know, he'll take what you said about choice and he'll apply that to feminism. He'll pervert that. He'll say, well, women, this is just women having more choice and women being in jobs and so they're gonna want more because they deserve more. And it's up to men to self-improve in order to meet women at the level that they've been empowered to be at. You'll never hear Hafiz talk about how women being given jobs has displaced men. And so a lot of the women that are now, as BGS will call them, 92s, they're looking for men that are not there in the same numbers because those jobs they artificially got because, you know, they're double minority. You'll never hear that come out of his mouth. So what so his job, look, I'm not saying everything he says is bad, but you have to understand the Roommates channel is modeled to be mainstream. They're modeled to get everybody they can and at least try to kind of be helping men. So there's something you can get from that, but it's very, very, very diluted. So, and going back to what Jessica was saying, for me personally, as far as the micro issue with the dating out, the macro solution to that is you building awareness of that and really understanding why black men feel they don't have to do. In order to deal with the culture part, you have to be able to push your message and your ideology, which is what the manosphere talks about. Because when you really dig into why dudes do what they do or don't do what they do, if that's what your preference is, that's what your preference is. But a lot of these dudes aren't doing that just because that's their preference. They're doing that because they're guilt. Let's take the black women off. Let's talk about fat women. Let's talk about fat women.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, man, shout out to Obsidian for pointing this out. Listen, Jordan Peterson, bro, and Edward, I don't know, listen, bro, if you don't think Jordan Peterson is like, you know, one of the best minds, fam, you might want to do a little bit, you know,
I mean, we can agree to disagree with that. I'm not saying he's dumb. Again, I mean, that really doesn't matter.
Again, bro, like I said, even from an IQ standpoint, fam, it is what it is. Whatever. Listen, like Obsidian said, there's a lot of things missing in this nuance and things when it comes from a cultural aspect and him just not being a black dude. What I said earlier about the devolution and mutation, that was more to Obsidian's point of where, you know, we're in bizarro land, upside down world, whatever you want to call it. The black man to black woman dynamic is unique than anything else. Unless you're in like a very, very, very few situations as to where the women control everything and the men have to do it. But the thing with us is everybody acts like it isn't that. So if you go into these cultures where these tribes have these places have these tribes and things, right? That's where the women run things and whatnot. I think it's some type of Asian thing as to where, you know, it's nothing but women and the women get to choose the dudes they want to have sex with, have kids and all that stuff, whatnot, what have you. It's a documentary on that, and it's actually, you know, said as such. The thing is, outside of us, especially us being in space, and the men that say, well, hey man, look, this is what's going on here. You know, we're supposed to be running everything. And we're trying to run everything, but we're fighting this, we're fighting that, we're fighting a battle on 4 different fronts.
What is that noise?
I thought there's a weird like boom.
I thought every time he dropping
really?
points, I thought, hey, yeah, that's fantastic thing. Like every time he dropping points,
it's not me, is it? Is it me?
It's not me. It's not me.
Let me try to figure it out. Hold on.
I'm gonna mute mine.
Hold on. Is it?
No, it ain't me.
Oh wait, no, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, my bad. I'll get on my. Let me get on my.
Yeah, and also, who like to be fair to Hafiz and Dr. Peterson, Hafiz don't really represent like his audience ain't really that message. That interview I saw was that of a general interview of men in general. They're not necessarily applied to like black men or ADOS black men. The problem is because he's a black man, he gets to automatically kind of say without playing that game where he says without saying, I represent black men because I'm a black man, and then that's bullshit. And but. It wasn't aimed. I'm not saying you can't have your opinions, but the stuff wasn't aimed at us because he never asked any questions to be directly at the African American community. Yeah. And then see that's that vagueness that allows him to kind of maneuver that because that's exactly what he'll say. But I'm like, I'll say this, but when you in clubhouses and stuff, it's always just black people. I ain't never seen her in the white manosphere like that.
Well,
But
for me, it
that's what I'm saying
wasn't
though.
that type of. Hold on, real quick, Fantastic. For me, it wasn't that type of vagueness, and it was the spin move out of the initial premise. Hafez asked a broad question on a macro scale from a sociological perspective, dealing with a lot of the stuff that we've heard Jordan Peterson talk about. The effects of feminism in women in this modern world, and women at the workplace, and now they make out more jobs, they're making more money, and how that affects the relationship market. You can go back to
And
the
Bernard,
conversation that made him a household name,
to
was
your
really
point,
dealing with that. Hold on, real quick. That was dealing with that at a large sociological perspective. And when asked about that question by Hafez, he spin moved out of it and said, "Well, if you're having problems with getting women, you just need to just dress better and talk better and self
And,
improve or whatever." Like that, it was a spin move. That was the problem. Nobody
and
has
Bernard,
anything against
and
the
Bernard, that's
self
the crux.
improvement. It was just a spin move.
Yeah.
And Bernard, that's the crux of the whole thing here, and that's what I'm saying. When you apply this to the black man, it's never gonna be that way. We know that. We live that. Even if you are the high value man or whatever, it's still not good enough. You know what I'm
So
saying?
just to,
Hold,
fantastic.
hold,
Just so
hold
I'm
on,
clear, you're saying self
fam.
Hold up.
improvement is not enough for black men. Is that what you're saying?
It's not. That's
it
what I'm
Oh,
doesn't
saying.
okay.
yield the
That's
same
what
result.
that's what
Hold
It
on,
I'm saying.
doesn't.
wait. Time out, one
Okay,
at a
no,
time.
go ahead.
Wait,
I just want
hold
to be
on,
clear.
hold on, one at a time. Okay,
I'm
Edward
not saying
did throw out
I'm
there.
not
He
I'm not
threw out there
I'm
that
not
self improvement is not enough, and you agreed. Explain that one. Explain
Well,
why.
that's what he's been saying.
Yeah,
who me? You talking about me? That's
yeah,
not me.
fantastic,
Let me say something
fantastic.
real quick. Real quick.
No, no.
To me, it's not that self improvement might not improve your chances, quote unquote, of success. But what it doesn't do that it does in other groups of people is it doesn't raise it to the same level of certainty.
No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't count for anything. Why are you
Okay.
guys
Right.
y'all are doing the same thing that you're accusing Hafez of doing? Okay, stop, bro. It don't matter. She don't care. She don't care about your money. She don't care about your success. She don't care about your degree. And she only cares if she wants to have sex with you or not. Okay. First and
Yeah.
most important thing. First and most important thing for the black woman is, hey, does my vagina tingle when I'm around this dude? Okay.
Yeah.
If it don't, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Excuse me.
Which is
I
why you
don't give
should
a
go
damn.
in the gym.
Hold on. I don't give a damn. All right. I don't care about none of this other stuff. And that's what I'm saying that Jordan Peterson is missing from the sociological standpoint. The black man, black woman dynamics, we're the only people as where none of that matters. It just don't matter. You cannot self-improve enough. You can be
Wouldn't
you
All
can
right.
Kevin's channel show
Okay, wait,
that
hold
that
on, wait a
matters?
minute,
The whole
So
high
I
hold
don't
value
on,
go
man
as far as
content?
Fantastic goes with it, but
time out. Let me just say this. It sounds like what Fantastic is getting at is that Hafez pointed out a problem, and Jordan Peterson's solution was just to be a better man. And the argument
The
is
white version of alpha your way through it.
being that better man does not necessarily get you a better result in the black community. As I think that's
it,
ultimately
But
because
no,
being swagged out or just having some qualities
not
that
even
don't even.
swagged out. Hold up. Now I'm not even saying the
Okay,
swagged
all
out
right.
thing.
So what are you saying?
This is what I'm saying. Just being overall successful as a man, period. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It doesn't count for anything in the black community. And where the sociological part comes into it is what? Nobody in the history of mankind has ever dated out in the majority. Even that's not a solution. It's unrealistic. If you're telling black men, oh well, just date out. So now you want black men to become the first men in the history of fucking human existence to do something that's never ever been done, and that's date another, racial group, cultural group, or whatnot, what have
All right,
you.
well, hold on. Let me push pause. I'm gonna throw it to Jessica because I think she was about to make a point that I was going to get to, but I'll let her go ahead and make it. Okay, spiritual, but first, spiritual logic, aka Hawk, in the building with the $20 super chat. Do appreciate that. He says many are confusing attracting women and sexual access with men being in a weak legal position. Bringing in the legal stuff where improvement won't stop legal exploitation. Yep, that is a separate conversation. That is a problem, and I shouldn't even say separate. It's connected, but it's not necessarily the topic. But it is a fair point. It is a fair point. Shout out to you. All right, we gonna go ahead, Jessica. I think.
So yeah, spiritual touches on it quickly, and the legal system is a macro problem that Jordan Peterson didn't address. That would be a macro problem that we're completely avoiding. But to the point that I was going to make is, we can't say black women don't care about money. They don't care about your position, your career, your position, your financial status. Kevin Samuels proves that. The whole high value man concept had the women coming in droves. So there's going to be that part, intrinsic female nature, where women are attracted to money, they're attracted to success, they're attracted to power. Now you'll also see women are attracted to good looking men. Yes, so that's going to be a factor, but we can't dismiss the fact that women want successful people. And
Okay.
you can't deny the fact that if you improve financially, you gain more power, you are going to have access to more women.
No, you
If
won't.
those open up your
Hold
pool,
on. No, you won't. You have more access to women that want you for your money. Again, you guys are looking at surface level.
Stop saying you guys.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Look, no, that's what I'm saying. Just you speaking from a woman's perspective, I understand that. But the truth of the fact of the matter is, for an African American woman, ADOS, whatever you want to call them, at the end of the day, she will leave you still for the next dude, just because even after all of that. All the numbers prove it and show it. The divorce rate shows it. The out of wedlock pregnancy show it. Again, you got women out here in their 30s. They're 30 fucking years old with careers, with this, with that, all these other things. What are they doing? They're becoming baby mamas.
Yeah.
Let me.
The anthem right now, okay, and I've seen this, and the anthem of the black woman right now is the Summer Walker album. Basically, a woman that had any and everything.
Nigga, what happened on that boat?
Can we look
All
at
right,
the
well,
divorce rates for men who earn over six figures? Because
Wait
they
a
go
minute.
down
Wait a
drastically.
minute. Everybody stop. Everybody stop for a second. I want to put this question to Jessica and Obsidian, because I know they watch Kevin Samuels a lot. They probably the only ones on the panel to probably watch.
No, I watch Kevin Samuels a good amount
Okay, well,
too.
cool. All right, cool. All right, well, you
I
can
just
answer
want
this question. Okay, so I think it's true that they want they do want, women will always want a man with money, but there's a such thing as, wanting the right thing for the wrong reasons. When it comes to them, is it more just they're just talking about a lifestyle?
They want a sponsor.
That's a factor
So,
that I do want to throw
they want
out there. It's
okay.
nothing. Hold on, real quick. It's nothing wrong with. I would rather them be choosing men based off what men accomplish than choosing based off some immaterial or just some BS that's going to yield no tangible results in the real world. So I would rather them be choosing men based off accomplishments. But I think a lot of them are choosing. They're choosing the right thing, because other women choose for resources too. But they're choosing. Hold on, they're choosing the right thing for the wrong reasons, which means the man involved will possibly run the risk of yielding a bad result in the long run. He will run the risk of yielding a bad result in the long run. I think that may have been a fantastic point, but I want to get Obsidian back in here on that one. Oh man.
Take one of them old
all right, let me do this. I want to address a couple of things, and I'm hopping off there. I'll let y'all have it. As far as what, because what Fantastic said, as far as me and Just Date Out, my official position is there is no one size fits all solution for black men. So you have to take a whole bunch of solutions to enhance your choice. I personally promote intercultural dating more than anything, but interracial, because everybody know what interracial dating is. But the issue with black men I find in this space outside of SYSBM, and black men don't say it enough, Obsidian has kind of alluded to it, is black men want black women more than black women want black men. So these dudes are purposely only dealing with black women. So when they complain, they have purposely given up. They have purposely chosen to only deal with black women. That is a choice they made. Hold on, I'm just saying. Hold on. I don't, because I'm about to hop off. I'm about to hop off.
Hold on, bro. I gotta address this though. We're only doing what everybody else does, bro.
I get that. You can address that once I leave, because I'm doing this for them. So all y'all,
let them finish.
That's all I'm
Fantastic.
doing. And intercultural, and by the way, intercultural dating is still black. So even if we do that, and I'm talking about within the United States, so dudes really be only dealing with ADOS women, and they don't say it like that, but that's really what's going on. So when you hear these complaints, you're in a internal market It's like dealing with a cable company that's the only company in town. You've already, the laws of capitalism, the laws of competition, you've already removed. I can prove this with Kevin Samuels did that video on talk about should black men open up their options. Them niggas, they couldn't even think straight. Their stuff melted. So that's the first thing. As far as the second thing, like I said, they want to sponsor. That's what they want.
Damn,
And
all of that was the first thing? God
no,
damn.
this is the last thing. They want to sponsor. They want to sponsor. And so when they talk about, wanting success and all that, that does not apply the same way in the black community. It just doesn't. Because when you look at other groups, the success will count for a lot more. Like, for instance, you could be a shorter black man, a shorter dude, and then that success will count a lot more in other cultures. Height is still a universal beauty marker. Every woman wants that, but they'll play fast and loose, and success will matter more. In the black community, looks only matter. So that's why I said before, if you want black women, you need to just focus on the looks piece. The success piece actually doesn't matter, because if you're broke, but you look a certain type of way, you'll be able to get even the black women that are like lawyers and stuff. Is that everyone? No, but it is most. And that's the dynamics is different in this community versus other communities. Jordan Peterson is not even really capable of speaking on something like that. And Hafiz knows about it, but he's going to play the non-ADOS BS game that he's going to play. So with that being said, I'm going to be in the chat. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation with these folks on here. Peace.
All right. Thanks, Ed.
Some things never change. But you got her. Read the money. But my bad, man.
All right. Tank Johnson in the building. He says, let me blow that up. He says they don't care about money like that. Truly is about the sex first. High value men get cheated on all the time, and it's a lesser man taking his chick. Shout out to you. Some truth in that statement. We had somebody else in here. The perfect storm in the building says, I improve for me, not for a group of women who say, take me as I am. Good stuff right there. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. All right, go ahead. Fantastic. You got it. The link is in the chat. Anybody else want to come up?
I'm gonna use Edward's thing, and he actually helped my point by trying to, I guess, whatever. Listen, the cable company thing is a perfect example. Cable companies are regional, all right? There's certain things you can't get on Cox Cable in certain states, certain areas, and whatnot, what have you. Okay, just like you can't get what it would be what's the other shit, Comcast, whatever, right? It's a regional thing. What you guys fail to realize, like, the majority of black men aren't in this dating pool as to where it is just available. You got Asians, you got Dominicans, you got this, you got that. I can tell you, if you're in the southern states, okay, you're not going to have that option of the dating pool. Why? Because that's just not what's around you. Okay, you travel and go to another state, yeah, but what are you doing then? Now you're going to go and have a long distance relationship or create a relationship with somebody that you're going to convince that's going to work out long term and relocate or have her relocate. For what? When again, 99% of relationships fail. Okay, yeah, 99% of relationships fail. All right. So again, what are we saying here, man? You guys are still you're telling black men to turn water into wine. It's just never ever going to work until if and when you can get black women to operate within the same dynamic and just normalcy of men and women. None of this stuff is going to work. That's the sad part about it. Black men, if improving does not help. Okay, so improving other things than your looks, which your only way you're gonna be able to do that is through like your body. All right, you're stuck with your face, nigga. All right, unless you go, mother, get out here and holler at Dr. Miami, and you be the one to, get some plastic surgery, whatnot, what have you, so you can look like Chris Brown or whoever it may be, bro. You stuck with that, okay? And that's the first thing a chick's gonna look at. So this whole thing about making more money, you make more money. All you're doing is you're being a rent a trick. That's a rent a trick, okay? Am I saying you shouldn't do it? No, of course not. As a man, you should do the best thing to put yourself in the best possible position. Everything Jessica said about power and influence and all these things for the sake of you, your versatility and your marketability and your productivity, of course. But if and when the woman is going to benefit from that, and with the black woman, she doesn't care. You're just the best. Black women are the highest hypergamy users of anybody else in any other group, bro. Again, she can be with the dude that has everything. You know what she'll do? She'll leave for the dude that's giving her the better penis. Okay, that's giving her the better sex. This is not up for argument. All the data, stats, and everything supports it. Black women still have the highest rates in of sexual irresponsibility. Everything from pregnancy.
I'm trying to agree with Mr. Fantastic on this, man. I think he makes a point. The one thing that, when I was just talking about this earlier too offline, what really did it for me was when sisters started calling Kevin Samuels Dusty. Now, Uncle David Carroll, did a video about this. I think it's on here on YouTube called Dusty. And I'm saying what he said. He said, now, if these sisters are going to call somebody like Kevin Samuels Dusty, then God damn it, we all Dusty then. Because, I mean, it don't get no better than that. And I think that Mr. Fantastic is right. Black women operate, they on something else outside of other women in American society. They put, I can't say it on the air because I'll get in trouble. They put the
a nice, big, juicy.
They put that in front of everything else.
Wow.
They do. And I think Mr. Fantastic is on to something with that. They put that, like okay, so white women, Asian women, Jewish women, they would look at a Kevin Samuels and say, okay, he's well dressed, he's well coiffed, he's well spoken, he's accomplished. They're gonna look at that first, not black women. Black women to call that Dusty. They looking at that other thing, that BJC first. I think that Mr. Fantastic is on. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I think he's right. I think he's right.
And oh man, can I just add to what you're saying? What's the biggest thing we've been talking about here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and that was just said. Jada Pinkett Smith has one of the all-time black men, and what does she complain about? Number one complaint: she has the lifestyle, she has the fame, she has all of this stuff, and still, what is she saying? Oh well, he doesn't know me intimately. Pretty much saying, hey, he got bad. He got that BDR, bro.
Case in point. There you go. I mean, it don't get no better in Hollywood. I mean, you can make a case for maybe a Tyler Perry or maybe a Denzel Washington, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it don't get no better than Will Smith. The man is worth like damn near $400 million, man. God damn. What more is there? She's talking about that he's not giving her the
a nice, big, juicy.
So there you go.
All right. KD in the building. KD in the building with a $2 super chat, and also shout out to KD who sent a $20 cash app, and also shout out to D-Rock Dan who always sends a $5 cash app pretty much every day. And Kool Kamazi did something that threw me off a little bit. I think he sent some stock through Cash App. I think he sent me some shares of something. I don't even understand what's going on here, but thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah. Well, we got Jessica, it's like you was trying to jump in before I go to Freedman's Journal. I passed it to you. You was trying to respond a couple times, and between Ed and Fantastic, you couldn't get a word in edgewise. So go ahead before I pass it to Freedman.
There are a few things that are simple solutions. One, don't limit yourself to just black women. Open up your dating pool. Open it up. If you know that there's a higher concentration of these problems within the black female community, open up your dating pool. But then we also go on to the women don't care about money thing, or black women. Like I said, Kevin's channel disproves that theory. And people are saying, well, does she want you or does she want your money? I'm going to be real. A man's money is a part of who he is. That's a part of what you are as an individual.
Yes, but Jessica, with all due respect, if I just have to say, they called the brother Dusty. Black women all over the internet were calling Kevin Samuels. Now look.
Kevin is far from Dusty.
I get the ladies disagreeing with Kevin. I got no problem with that. Good people can disagree, but they called the brother Dusty. I mean, what other group of women do that?
He's far from Dusty. We know the reason that they're doing that is because he's putting their feet to the flames. He's holding them accountable. So that's the reason for it. We know.
Yes, but Jewish women don't call men Dusty who are clearly successful and got their act together. Now they may disagree with him. They may not like him. Okay, fair enough. But they don't call him Dusty. They called the brother Dusty. And then you got people like Jada Pinkett Smith talking about that Will Smith, the reason why she had to have the entanglement was because he wasn't delivering the
a nice, big,
Yeah.
Do you know what both of those things that you mentioned have in common, Obsidian? Goes back to my first point. Don't limit yourself to black women. Those things that you both mentioned there comes back to black women.
That's what Mr. Fantastic is saying. In Black America, if you're a black man and you got your act together like a Kevin Samuels or a Will Smith, black women ain't looking at that. Black women, the main thing that black women are looking at is the one-eyed snake.
A nice, big, juicy.
So move on. Move on. It's a simple solution. Move on and don't limit yourself. When we're talking about the money piece, like I said, money is a part of who you are as a man. It's what you are judged by in society. You can't get around it. The same way I tell women, your body, your looks are how you're going to be judged by society. So it's going to happen. The money piece is part of who you are. Now, you don't want somebody that's with you purely for your money, but it makes you a better package overall. When we look at divorce rates, as you earn more money, divorce rates go down. If you're college educated, divorce rates go down. So we can look at the nuances between
You do realize you throwing Obsidian argument back at him.
No. We're not. Me and Obsidian are not in disagreement.
Yeah.
We're not in disagreement. We're just having a conversation. But I'm not arguing with him.
No,
But those
I
things.
thought you was responding to Obsidian. Okay.
No. Divorce rates go down. So there is something that says, listen, if you are a man that earns more money, you're more likely to have certain traits to your personality. You're more likely to be more competent. You're more likely to have leadership skills. You're more likely to have good communication skills. So all of that stuff jumps back into the argument, and it jumps back into what Jordan B. Peterson was saying. So all of this stuff is interconnected. We can't dismiss certain portions of it, and we just can't. He has a valid
Black
point.
women want that I can't say it on the air because I'll get in trouble.
A nice, big, juicy.
That's
So
the
move
number.
on.
Listen,
Well, I don't just for the record, I don't think
we have a
anybody.
case of a black woman going intercontinental for it. I'm not going to say her name. You know what I'm talking about. There's a lady right here on Black YouTube who flew coast to coast for it. Like, come on. She's the main one talking about 3 trash bag Dusty, but she's getting on intercontinental flights for the
A nice, big, juicy.
All right. Enough of that. Okay. No, I don't think nobody is dismissing the point that if I can't even recall in there what Jordan Peterson said. Well, yeah, in a roundabout way, he was saying, make more money, be more successful. Yes, and I don't think nobody denies or negates that. Only thing I didn't like is I think it's a legitimate point that's being made when everybody look at the way that modern women view men today. How really a woman who, per all her stats, her whole rundown, everything about her is average, but for reasons that have nothing tangible to do, that has no tangible effect on the dating market or her sexual market value, she thinks she's above the average guy that's actually on her level, who's actually suitable for her. I think that is a legitimate point. It's a lot of data that bears that out. So I think the problem people have with Jordan Peterson is that he's moved away from all of that to just say you just need to dress better and smell better and walk better and talk better and make more. So that was the problem. But if men were just saying, well, why do I got to make more money? Then I would push back on the men if they were just saying, they just had a problem with being more successful. But that's not what I'm hearing from the reply. It was him.
Bernard, with all due respect, my brother, Kevin Samuels is a millionaire. You don't have to take my word for it. Everybody can look online and look it up for themselves. He's a verified millionaire. Will Smith worth $400 million. Black women don't care about that. They still call you Dusty. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, no. There's a point there, especially with this whole online back and forth between black men and black women. Yeah, they know every. What the hell was that? Yeah, and this whole
the
online
gentleman
back
who
and
wants to
forth
learn.
between black men and black women, that nobody's safe.
And
Nobody's safe. It's men who we've seen plenty of millionaires get caught dusty. Like, so I mean, we get it. We get it.
And Bernard,
Shout out
it goes back to the point that you were making, because even in the beginning I said, yes, if men do all of that, and then what? So it's not that his points are invalid, but it's totally negating the problem on the other side, right? It's
Well, no,
totally
he
negating
validated the problem on the other side. He just said
what.
the women are right,
Well,
and
I've heard him address women in the same way
right.
in other videos. When they bring up the same points, he'll completely invalidate what they're saying and focus on the other. So that's something I've seen that he does consistently. But like I said, if men do all of this self-improvement, and then what? So the self-improvement points are valid. And then what is, listen, if you have to travel overseas, you
But
can do that.
Jessica, black women. See, this is the problem with Dr. Jordan Peterson. He is not talking to the American modern 21st century black American ADOS black woman. That's a completely different animal, because you got black women like a Jada Pinkett Smith and like the other lady whose name I cannot mention. They're saying that black men, even the best, the most elitist of black men like Kevin Samuels and Will Smith, they're dusty and they're not delivering the
A nice, big, juicy.
I don't know what to do with that.
So this is the Obsidian.
Leave it alone, Obsidian. You just leave it alone.
Yeah. All right, well,
let him die on the
wait.
line.
Technically, Friedman's Journal was next. We're going to go to him. But shout out to Captain Cisco again. Says Jessica, as black women care about a man money when they are 35 and 45 with 2 kids. That is something that is being that's bearing out on Kevin Samuels' show as well. They get their head on straight when it's too late. When they get
all of
basically
those points.
when life outboxes them into a corner, then that's when they choose the right option.
And let's be clear here.
Nobody
on this panel. Nobody on this panel is anti-self-improvement.
Hold on. Yeah. I made that point, Ed. I'm gonna mute y'all up for a second. I hate muting people, but I'm trying not to. Yeah. Well, anyway. Solo Traveler ORD in the building says, I believe a lot of. Let me see. Let me make that bigger. I believe a lot of bros have Stockholm syndrome or low self-confidence to expand their options. I don't think brothers got a. Well, okay, I can't say that because we've seen too many examples. We've seen too many examples.
Depends
of
on the generation.
Yeah. And then when Kevin Samuels did that show that was essentially about brothers expanding their option, he was greeted by men who was, hell no, we won't go. Hell no,
the gynocrats, the male gynocrats.
Anyway, continuing dealing with the disrespectful women. Yeah, see that part is a no-go. And if I contribute anything to this space, I just don't deal with any combative disrespect. Well, I don't care what color she is. I mean, if you're gonna deal with black women, the ones who are combative, disrespectful, bitchy, yeah, they are to die alone. That's where I'm at with that one. But shout out to Solo Traveler ORD. Sorry if you sent a super chat and I missed it. I'll try to cycle back through them and try to pull that up. But go ahead, Friedman's Journal. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Yeah, I think that I think the solution is just dating out. I mean, and if men
you're giving a micro solution to a macro problem. Not just playing.
No, that I mean, if black men are being asked to do something that no other men are being asked to do, it's because their women are doing something that no other women are doing, and there's no other way to inflict consequences than to date out. That's it.
Their women are focused on the BJC.
Then they have to die alone, and they have to go get it from.
That's the point that listen,
I can't change that though. There's no way to change that
for a long time. I've been really thinking about it. I've been staying quiet, just thinking about it. I think the straw that really broke the camel's back for me was this Will Smith piece. I mean, listen, you can't get no better than that, man. And yet and still, you got Jada Pinkett Smith getting entangled over the BJC. You got black women online calling Kevin Samuels dusty. I think Mr. Fantastic is on to something here. I don't say that with any. I'm actually pretty sad about it, but it is what it is. If I'm going to devote myself to the scientific method, to the enlightenment, to reason, and committed myself to the evidence, I have to look at the evidence. You got black women going coast to coast for the BJC. You got black women getting up in all kind of entanglements for the BJC. You got black women calling brothers like Kevin Samuels Dusty, yet turn around and get with the 3 trash bag Dusty for the BJC. So I'm thinking, what else is there to conclude? What else is there to conclude from all this other than
they don't want y'all?
Well,
they don't want us. So then they can try and date out themselves. The answer is consequences. That's it.
Your greatest power is your power of choice. And regardless of what market you live in and what region you live in, that is your choice. Now, what people like to tell themselves, they can tell themselves whatever they want to tell. It's the same thing with dealing with big chicks. Let's say you only deal with black women, and you be like, and for some reason you dealing with too many chubby chasers, and then you want to make all the excuses in the world. I'm like, yo, if I show you the chick with the measurements that what you want, and I put them up against a fat chick, you gonna pick the chick with the measurements is what your real preference is. So it's the same mentality. So if you're in an environment, because I'll give what Fantastic's talking about as far as you're in certain counties and stuff where that's all you, like black women, obviously all black women are not the same, but they do have a lot of similarities. I get all of that. That's that mentality in Chicago, and a lot of these mentalities, these niggas ain't never left their county, so they ain't never seen nothing different. So it's what they know. I get that. At the end of the day, it's still a choice. You're going to have to choose to either broaden your horizons and leave your county, or you're going to have to choose to do something. But ultimately, where the macro part comes up is building awareness of the actual choices. Remember, one of the main areas of activity is media, and this is where the Black Manosphere is that macro solution, because just even us having this discussion, it can be broadcast to a lot of people that actually influences people into talking to other people, actually does change the dynamic. You're seeing this stuff switch. You've seen this space get bigger. You've seen this stuff like this expand to other social media networks. And at one point, the conversation was never even had. Now it's being had. But go ahead.
Let me say this, man. Again, this is the thing right here, right? The biggest thing is you guys, you're defining math. You're trying to define math. The same thing ever is like you keep giving me all these alley-oops, brother. When dudes talk about, oh, well, I want a slim chick, I want a slim chick, I want a slim chick. You think they're alley-oops? No, they're not. If black chicks, bro, again, have the highest rates of overweight and obesity, it's percentages and sheer numbers, bro. The raw numbers say it's just impossible for the majority of black men to be successful. The highest rate of dating now is what? Asian women at like what, 13% or something? It gets no higher than 13%. Now, if you even, let's just max it out. Huh?
It doesn't take the majority.
Hold on.
It doesn't take the majority.
And another thing that needs to be added in here, and I'll let you rock, Fantastic. Black men are 6% of the population in the United States of America. The reason why most of the time it doesn't work is because most of the groups are generally the majority in their area. So it makes mathematical sense that wouldn't happen. Black men are 6% of the population.
Yeah, I understand that, but still, even still, you're not going to have enough women of other ethnicities and cultures that are going to want to date out, bro.
That's actually not crazy. That's crazy.
That's completely not true. Like I said,
I lived all over this country. I can tell you for a fact
like
that's not true.
Traveling, you don't even need to travel. We're 6%.
Damn. Okay, and how many men does this 6% make up?
Adult black males make up like 12 million.
No, since you're trying to make me look stupid, make me sound crazy. Answer the question, bro. No, answer the question. Even though it's only 6%,
12 million.
It's way more than 12 million.
All right, hold on.
No.
Hold on.
12. Hold on.
Wait a minute.
You're getting mad, but I'm answering your.
Okay, I just muted everybody. All right, we got to try to get it under control one at a time. Okay, who was asking the question?
Well, basically, Fantastic.
Hold on, wait. Okay, hold on. Wait. Was Fantastic asking the question?
Yes, he was asking me.
Okay,
yeah, bro.
Hold on. Fantastic. If he was asking a question, go ahead and ask it, and then we're gonna try to get Ed's answer. All right, go ahead.
Well, his answer's wrong. He gave me the answer. He gave me the wrong answer. There's no way you only tell me only 12 million black men.
I didn't catch the question.
Huh?
What was the question?
I asked the question, how many black men are there? Ed said there are only 12 million black men, bro. That's bro, that's
right.
ridiculous,
I just
dog.
checked. It's 20 million.
Yeah.
You're not right.
No, God damn it. Shit.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
You're not
20 million black males, not adults over
Hello?
18.
All right.
God damn.
Gotcha.
Okay? There's 44 million African Americans, 10% of them are non-ADOS. So yes, I do know the fucking numbers.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so 12 million adult men that are over the age of 18 that are
So,
legal to fight.
so you're telling me, so only 12 million black men are adults, that you're telling me?
That are over the age of 18, yes. It's around 12
That's
million.
about accurate.
That adult, nigga. It's the same difference. Adult.
It's
brother,
around 12 million.
I'm sure.
All right.
Brother, it's no.
I know you're trying
Either
to
way, bro, listen.
recalibrate. Yeah, but I'm right.
Either way, I'm not
Okay.
trying to recalibrate shit. I'm just telling you. Even Bernard said it. Look, bro, this is what I'm trying to tell you, man. Even if that's the case, you're trying to get black men to do something that's never ever been done in the history of fucking human existence. Not just
So
a
what?
culture, generation. It's not a so what, nigga. It's not gonna happen. So why are we
So
even? Why,
what?
that's like saying.
So what's the point then? So what are we discussing? Oh, black women don't want us and we can't date out.
Disease are already starting to.
Hold on.
What
All right. Okay, wait. Hold on. Let me make sure I understand. Ed, what is it that? What? Oh, my fault. I know a Fantastic fell off. I didn't mean to bump him off. I did.
Man, first
but hold
of
on,
all,
Ed.
I'm not
What is
saying.
it? Hold on, Ed. Real quick. The question. He said something about you're trying to get black men to do something. What is it that you're trying to get black men to
I am piggybacking off Freeman's, basically SYSBM.
Yeah, man.
Expand your options. Hold on. And
Okay.
and Jessica, I got a question for Jessica real quick. How many how many of the people there, the UK, the blacks in UK, what's the percentage of them that date out? I don't know. I'm asking.
Very high.
I'm asking. Yeah.
It depends. It's just dating out versus marrying out. It's 50% for men and 35% for women.
Okay, so she's talking to. So I look. I like Fantastic. I don't know what Fantastic is on right now. I'm just So what? So he's saying 13%, and that's in the United States. He's talking about what's in the United States. What I'm saying is but just because that's one thing us and the blacks in UK shares, we are minorities. We're not the majority. If you look at the Canada, which I can't speak to, shout out to Classic Ruby. My point is we are 6% of the population. I'm talking about the total population. Now, if you split off the males, let's say we're 14%. If you're talking about just men versus just women, the point is there is way more than enough numbers of non-black women in the United States currently not even having to travel. And I'm not saying every black man needs to not date every black woman. I have never said that. So I don't know why he's trying to get the math to where I need to get it that high. But if you bring it down to just 50% alone, then you only need 3% of the other female population. So mathematically it works. Now, whether
mathematically,
my argument is black men don't want to do it, and if you don't want to do it, you choose to accept the situation that you're in, meaning you are choosing to engage black women on their terms, and it is not their fault. They want Obsidian to play that, the shit.
You mean did somebody say BJC?
Big.
Which I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna be done to let you rock. This is why black men are always talking about game, and they say money doesn't matter because they understand it. Dealing with black women, game matters more than money. That's it. I don't even know why Fantastic is getting mad. Like I guess he got off. I hope he don't make a video about me saying I'm 35. I'm not an old nigga yet. I just turned 35.
I don't think you guys are disagreeing. You raged out a bit too, Ed.
No, I raged out because I knew I was correct on the math. And then everybody was starting to try to collapse on me because he was going to over-talk me. That's all that was. You see how I quickly brought the gear back down.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think that is
real quick, Freeman's Journal. So I got you next. I promise, Freeman's Journal. Ed, to what you said about that, if you're dealing with black women, you're dealing with them on your terms, and this is where I'm cycling back to the micro versus the macro. The macro, yes, you are dealing with them on your terms, but I think the individual and I can sort of speak for myself in that, can draw my line in the sand with, black women that I've dealt with and the black woman I'm with now is 100% on my terms. So that I think if brothers get that mindset, regardless of what race of woman they're dealing with, then there will be just overall better off. That's why I don't draw the line in the sand with the skin color. Hold on. Wait, I don't draw the line in the sand with the skin color. I draw the line in the sand based off what you will accept and what you will tolerate, what you deal with, what you expect, and whether or not the demands are met. That's where I draw the line in the sand.
Absolutely.
And so I think we sell the conversation short if we just draw the line in the sand based off a shade of skin.
No, absolutely. And motherfucker, let me tell you something. I don't mean to call you that.
I
I'm just
agree
saying
with you there,
these whole look, man, these non-black females ain't shit either. Like Latin, I was just dragging Jennifer Lopez for her crap. Means you would know who she was if it weren't for black men. So I get that. Remember, there is no one size fits all solution. And I also say don't go red pill for black women, only remain blue pill for non-black women. The point is the standard. And see what black men are doing. Black men are doing it because of shade. Right. They're doing it for in reverse though. They're saying I am more virtuous as a black man. I am more pro-black because I will compromise my standards for my love of black women. This is why every time we want to tell some truth,
or to just get a cyber pat on the head. That's what they're really doing.
This is why we say, oh, well, I love black women. I only date black women. I'm only sexually attracted to black women. Before you start telling some sisters that water is wet. Like that's the stupid. So, and then you see it further get compromised with the weight issue, where people start saying, okay, well, mathematically, 80% of them are overweight. Well, you accept that because you accept the other part. Now, I can agree with what Fantastic was saying as far as the South is 55% black, and if you're in more rural areas, there's things like racism you do have to contend with, and there's other factors, but all of that is still a choice, man. You choose to stay in your county. You choose to do all of that stuff.
Hold on, wait. Oh man, just hold your thought because I know Freeman got cut off like 5 times, and he very rarely be getting the mic. So I got to make sure Freeman. Go ahead, Freeman. You got it. My bad, man. My bad.
Oh man, so long I forgot. No, Ed what it was saying is right. You do have to. The numbers are right. You do have to date out, and this is a continent-sized country, man. I mean, where do you live that there are no other women? Like, I mean, you're living in the sticks.
It's not even
there's nothing but black and white. Atlanta today. I mean, when I graduated high school, I went to Atlanta. It was super black then. It's not so much now. It is extremely cosmopolitan. Most cities are. I mean, I lived in like 4 states in like the last maybe 7 years. There are different races everywhere, even in the South. So the opportunities are there, and if you're getting done bad by black women, then, and you're gonna, on the other hand, gonna say, well, we're being asked to do something no other men are being asked to do, then you just are. I mean, you're not gonna change black women, because we have to do something that we haven't done because our women are like no other group in America, and it is what it is. And it doesn't take everybody, right? It doesn't take the majority. It just takes enough to stem the tide. And when there are enough women who are out there like, I'm not getting any men whatsoever, and the cock carousel gets boring. So,
I don't know about that.
Well, they get old.
You were talking about non-black women, but when
they get old and they get kicked off the ride, Obsidian,
they never get tired of taking that ride.
They get kicked off the ride. Is what happens. They'll age out.
Obsidian, you ain't shit.
Uneducated lame in the building says awesome show. Definitely salute and shout out to you.
I'm gonna step up my soundbite game too.
Hey.
Shout out to Matt Blaylock. I thought this was Mookie.
Matter of fact, brothers in the chat.
Brazil is a perfect example of a country where races have dated out historically.
Facts.
One thing. I'll pivot it this way. You talk about brothers dating out again. Before I ran into Black YouTube, I didn't think it was that much of I didn't think it was a big thing. I thought brothers that did it, and brothers who didn't, and it wasn't even that much to think about. I did it when I was out there, and it was no big deal. I mean, I didn't have an ideology behind it. This whole ideological interracial dating thing was a foreign concept to me until I found these Black YouTube spaces, and so I think y'all kind of touched on the point that I wanted to circle it back to. Yeah, because y'all said you don't think everybody should do it, but I mean, but it is a recruitment effort, and I guess that comes down to the macro. You want to steer the mind of the individual, the micro, into a way, I guess, you're trying to influence the culture so Black men could, stop just accepting anything. So I get it and understand it from that perspective. Free zone. What is your name here?
I just wanted to say something to Mr.
Ed,
answer. I did a poll. I don't know if you saw this, Ed. I did a poll. I like to poll my audience. So I would, once or twice a week, I'll do a poll. And I had asked last week, do brothers think that social media websites, do they see them as de facto dating apps? And like 40% of my audience said yes. So this week, I asked them this question. Why don't they use dating apps? And 8% of my audience of over 400 voters, 8% said because of racism. 8.
What?
So I say that to say that my audience,
I don't get that either.
My audience at least doesn't think that racism is a big factor in online dating.
I don't,
because it's not.
How could that be a factor in
so
swiping
you're
right
saying
or
only
not?
8% said that. So because it was a low number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. And I get what you're saying. And that doesn't feed. Yeah. But one thing we need to start polling our people a lot more. And this is an assumption we made. By the way, I polled my people on some stuff. And apparently 15% of my audience thinks I'm a closet simp. So to my audience, fuck you. But on back on the topic, I know LeBron.
I get being a simp, but how can you be a closet simp?
Yeah,
well, no, you can be a closet simp. I just don't know how they got that from Ed.
So I think I said that's a good healthy number, but whatever. And they waiting for that other shoe to drop. But anyway,
free zone Lou was waiting for a minute. I want to throw it to free zone Lou real quick. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, what's going on, everybody? Bernard, great stream, great talk. I really am liking this. I won't be on very long, but I'm listening to. I gotta agree with Ed, and I'm trying to listen to Obsidian and everything. The whole issue that I find with what he's saying is that it's like you wanna move the community forward, but you want to hold on to the strag, and you can't do that because every example that you pulled up was a strag. You're talking about strag from Kevin Hart, from Kevin Samuel's show. You're talking about Jada, who's a strag. You're not actually talking about, because for me, I'm a huge individual person. So everything that Jordan Peterson says makes sense. So if you can't find a Black woman who doesn't have those characteristics that you're looking for, it's like, just move on.
Okay, yeah.
Well, my question to you,
hold on, wait, real quick.
Sorry,
I don't like when people straw man the manosphere and try to say, when you're talking about the problems between Black men and Black women, is that's just men trying to hang on to the strag, the worst type of Black woman. Like, no. The Black manosphere is ground. Hold on. The Black manosphere is ground zero of Black men stepping up and saying, don't deal with those type of women. Don't deal with the baby mama. Don't deal with combative, uncooperative women. That shit ain't normal. Don't deal with it. You're talking to the place that's ground zero for Black men standing up against that. So how do they get lumped in with trying to hang on to the status quo nonsense that Black men been dealing with for the ages?
Who getting lumped in?
All the examples that I've heard on so far, and the typical example, like we're not talking about the ones that aren't connected to that culture, and it might be this then. It might be this, because a lot of Black men want, when you talk about linking with your own tribe, you're also talking about somebody who shares the tenets of your particular culture. And the problem with the black culture is that a lot of what's in the black culture is extremely toxic. So
Well,
the solution to break from that.
Yeah, the Black Manosphere is what addresses that issue, the front and center.
Yeah, that
my
culture,
question for the brother,
argument is bullshit. But go ahead. Like, you're not
my
wrong.
question
But
for the brother is this: what percentage? I might even have to do a poll about that. You might have to do one too, Bernard and Edward. What percentage of
I'm interested in
today's
that.
what percentage of today's 21st century Black American Afro American Negro woman is a strag? Give me a number. What percentage would it be? 20%, 50%, 80%, 10%? What percentage would there be?
That's an
Bag
angry
Lady
man
G.
Yeah, that's a crap. I really don't know.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, man, I think I understand what Free Zone Lou is saying. It's just that the manosphere, I guess, doesn't present. Well, it presents Black women as kind of an impossibility. I mean, if there are there successful Black women that are and Black men that have made it and coupled and married, sure, right? But it's like they're an unknown commodity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what did they do different?
It's about 20%.
What did they do different?
It's about 20. The prevailing number is about 20% of Black women operate with acceptable level of common sense.
So, but the thing is, what did they do differently? And off grip, I can tell you because I know them. They don't marry Instagram like chicks, right? The guys aren't great looking. It's average people marrying average people.
Right. But I guess it's I hear what you're saying, but and the only reason why I'm pushing back is because when we're talking about the examples used today, you're talking about Jada, you're talking about women on Kevin Samuels' stream calling them dusty and stuff. These are strag examples.
Well,
so if we move those out of the way, then it all makes sense.
Sir, that's just you're in denial. That's being in denial. But go ahead. Go ahead.
What do you mean by he's being? Well, let me say this. I'll say this, and I'll get you to explain what you mean by he's being in denial. Using the Jada and Will example, that is a trending viral thing with a celebrity. Of course, that's going to get used. And they're not. And it wasn't the women on Kevin Samuels' stream calling them dusty. It was the women that basically the ones who are triggered by his content. The major content creators who they say anything they can about him just to criticize him, So yeah, using those examples is just that's content. That's content talk. That's not. I don't think that's Obsidian saying he wants to be with those women. If only they didn't call Kevin Samuels dusty. That's why I said it's like you kind of straw man and the whole. You're straw man in the manosphere.
Yeah, which is why I call it denial. I mean, the thing about it is those arguments would have been had before Kevin had his show. Those are regular people calling Kevin's show over and over and over. So the argument about we're just like the straw man thing you said, that's an argument that was made before we had like women calling and them saying the stuff on their own. Now that we have Kevin's show, that proves it. And you have other take Kevin off the table. April Mason said the same thing. Rebecca Lynn Pope has said the same thing. Nicole Michelle has said the same thing. But for all of them, Obsidian always referred to the Ebony article, which were Black female matchmakers. Then that was from a few years ago, even before all of that, said the same thing. Black women, when Ivana Van Zam, Crimson Cure just did an article on Ivana Van Zam talking about she was getting death threats on her show from mainly Black women. Right. I mean, shit, who the fuck you need to hear it from? I'm not trying to say it like that, but I'm just saying.
No, I feel you. No, I completely feel it.
I give you hope. Look, and I'm not trying to say there's no hope, but what I'm saying, like I said, you got 20%. That's 1 in 5. That's what you got.
So 1 in 5 women you're saying would fit the bill of acceptable to.
Yes, and I'm not even counting for looks. I'm not even counting for looks. I'm just counting for mentality. 1 in 5.
Just values.
1 in 5.
I got you. But then, I could feel that. I guess I was gonna say aren't there twice as many? Is it Black women or women? Please clarify, because I'm talking
about ADOS. I'm talking about ADOS Black women. 1 in 5. You want to
1 in 5.
interculturally date, you might be able to expand that number, even in the United States. ADOS black women, 1 in 5. And by the way, a lot of them are married. The ones that look good are married by 22, 23.
Well, I mean, 50% of black men ain't getting nothing anyways to begin with. So that's already half the black men
What do you
already.
mean ain't getting nothing?
Well, they're not they don't have children.
What do you mean? What do you mean not getting nothing?
Not having sex.
No, that's
How
not
do you
true.
know that 50% of black men not having sex?
Yeah, I want to know
what's the percentage.
That you're talking about not having children.
You're talking 50%,
which is
of
also
black men
ADOS culture. Believe if you ain't no baby daddy, you don't got kid. You must not be fucking.
Yeah, you're talking about the stat. Somebody has made that argument against Obsidian.
Really? If you over 30,
well,
black women give a look.
Hold on, real quick. Obsidian. I don't even know if you caught it. I don't know who it was. It might have been the what's the older light skinned chick? She got a little raspy sounding voice. She done been on the panels. I can't think of her name to save my life. She be lurking around in this space.
Cherry.
Bomb Cherry. I think she said something to Obsidian along the lines of basically he ain't had no kids, therefore incel.
There's a look. Yeah, there's a look black women give, because I get that look every this how you tell what type of woman you're dealing with. They don't see black men that don't have kids of value. They start questioning, are you gay? You must not be able to play pipe. I mean, I'm talking about, and I'm laughing like this is ADOS.
No, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at. Hold on. I'm laughing at Aaron B saying that Bomb Cherry is her Jessica X's auntie.
That's funny. This is ADOS culture. Well, that's all light skinned people look the same. That's also an ADOS culture too, by the way. That's why they always talk that shit about, you all look like brother and sister. Let me say some dark skinned motherfuckers look like brother and sister. Y'all go want to get tiki torches on my ass. But anyway,
right.
This is ADOS culture.
Well, I stand corrected then, sir. I'll take that and I stand corrected.
No, and it's just something. It's just I'm not here to be right and to say you're wrong. I'm just saying now that you have this information, think about it, marinate it, and see if you see what I'm saying in the visible world. I'm just a nigga talking shit.
Right.
Obsidian's the authority. He's the one that gets to date him.
Actually, Sir Ism is the authority. I'm seeing him in the chat room right now.
No bullshit.
By the way, hey Jesse, I heard that time where Sir Jism kind of just talk about a spaz out moment. Edward had his own Howard Dean moment just a little while ago. I heard Sir Jism's Howard Dean moment with you, Jesse, a little while back.
Yeah,
no, man, that caught me off guard with that shit.
What happened? What happened right there? Jessica, did you
save him that situation?
What happened?
Nothing. He had a spaz out on the panel.
The story. Hold on, real quick. The story holds that you made a grown man cry. Is that true, Jessica?
One solitary tear.
He said he shed like one slow Denzel Washington glory tear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the dude? Michael something.
The American Indian. You remember that Earl commercial?
Yeah, the Indian with the one tear.
Yeah, with the one tear. Anybody remember that?
You know how it is. Niggas get in front of a light skin.
Yeah, that commercial was crazy.
They want to open up and tell their life story. You almost got what's the dude, Michael, with like 1.3 million subscribers and lift weights? Remember him?
Yeah.
That motherfucker talking about I was in the bathroom and she was banging on it and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, nigga, what?
What?
That's what he said to Jessica.
Yeah, chick had him hiding in the bathroom. Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, nigga, why would you say that? Like,
no, this was the biggest problem with that. And I don't since you brought it up, I'll say the biggest problem with that, because listen, if a woman is trying to attack you and you're a man with a lot to lose and you have to run because you don't even want to run the risk of defending yourself, and you might, if you push her back, she fall, bump her head, and you a career man with a lot to lose, I understand. He went and locked himself in the bathroom until she calmed down and went away. I get that. The problem is that he tried to say men are not disadvantaged in legal domestic violence situations involving women. Then if that was the case, you wouldn't be hiding in the bathroom because just in case you accidentally hurt your attacker, so that was the biggest problem with
And
that.
here's what's crazy about this. It's like there's a story going around where a dude called the police, and to be fair, this is like a racist Hispanic, but called the police and got a racist Hispanic cop. And the Hispanic cop literally put stuff that was contrary of the 911 call, and basically said he's a threat, he's a this, even though he was the one that called the police on his, I guess, baby moms, and he's the one that got in trouble. So what I'm saying is, Mike Rashid knew not to call the cops. He knew, like, they know. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to make it about that. But this has been a fun panel.
That was ridiculous.
And like I said, I'm about to hop off again. I'm not coming back. I do fuck with Fantastic. As far as me, that 12 number I knew was bullshit, because that's why I said that. I don't mean to spaz out. I'm a nigga just like all of y'all, even though I try to act like I'm better than y'all. But anyway.
Yeah, y'all didn't even have, y'all was talking past each other. I didn't even really hear that much disagreement.
He was in rumble mode. And I'm like,
y'all was kind of in both. I think both of y'all was kind of in debate mode, but he was really in rumble mode. But it wasn't that much disagreement. Y'all was fighting over inches. I didn't even understand.
You got to remember, Fantastic's been on that boat. He's been on that boat for months, so he's ready to cut somebody out. That's what I assume. Because even when he came on here, he said, y'all, you guys. I'm like, oh, so nigga, you looking for somebody to try to step up so you can get in the ring with. I get it, man. I get it. You restless. You like one of them restless, you just want to bite somebody, but whatever. Anyway, it's all good.
All right. Obsidian, you've been quiet for a minute. You got anything? We getting closing in on the 3-hour mark.
Yeah. This is a very good discussion, because I don't know if Hafez, and definitely not Dr. Peterson, meant for this to kind of quote unquote go viral, but I'm glad that it's happened. I think that it's time for Dr. Peterson to do one of two things. Either one, expand his palate, or two, take a step back. Because, and I'll tell you the reason why. The argument about self-improvement has a shelf life. Okay. You can only go but so far with that. Number one, name me, I'll give you an example. So we recently saw Alabama State University, an HBCU, historically black college and university, out of Montgomery, Alabama, feature what they call the honeybees. Did you know, Bernard, that in order to qualify to become a honeybee, you had to be a black woman weighing no less than 240 pounds?
Whoa. I thought you was going to say 200. But 240? That's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. Now, I just got finished having a roiling debate over the weekend with black women, many of whom themselves attend HBCUs, and so we can reliably say with 52% of black college women, according to blackdemographics.com, 52% of them are obese. That's blackdemographics.com. 52% of all black college women are obese. So the majority of black college women are obese.
You mean overweight or obese?
Obese.
It's 50% with just
52%.
With black women in general.
52% of college women, college black women. 52%. Okay?
Oh.
That's the majority right now. And that's all colleges. We're not even focusing on the HBCUs. I would dare say easily somewhere over 60% or better are obese. If we just focus on the HBCUs, the vast majority of which are in the South. Okay? Now, there was a roiling debate on somewhere, I'm not going to say where I was at online. The lovely ladies were fighting tooth and nail to defend the so-called honeybees. Then one sister went and did another discussion. Well, what about the men's? I noted to the ladies in that thread about black men's health, not one brother put up any resistance to the idea of losing weight or slimming down. Not one. Not one. And I say that in relation to Dr. Peterson and Hafez or the roommates, look, man, the problem ain't the men's. The problem is the women's, especially in Black America. The problem ain't the black men. The problem are black women. They're the ones that's delusional. They're the ones that's fighting you tooth and nail. They're the ones that's not focusing on a man who's got his act together, doing well, the whole bit. They're focusing on the
Nice, big, juicy.
And Dr. Jordan Peterson has admitted that that is out of his depth to deal with. So this is the point where Dr. Jordan Peterson does one of two things. Either he steps up or he steps off.
Steps off as far as what? Because I mean, there's still a lot of things to the
steps off as far as steps up insofar as, see, my thing is, this is not a static conversation. This is a very dynamic conversation. It's constantly evolving and changing. Black men are getting their act together. We can empirically bear this out with facts, data, and statistics. Blackdemographics.com. Professor Ivory Tolson of Howard University, etc. et al. The problem ain't black men here. At least not the vast majority of them. You got a small group of select F-boys who black women love to mess around with, and we all know why they like to mess around with them, don't we?
Nice, big, juicy.
That's the reason why. Now, if Dr. Jordan Peterson is to be of any utility moving forward insofar as the 21st century Black American dating and mating market is concerned, he's got to do one of two things. Either he's got to step up in terms of his knowledge base, or he's got to step off because this is out of his depth.
Joe Abundance in the building with a $10 super chat. He says, a black woman will give it up. Give it up raw to a guy called Dirty Dong Rodney on the first date. Meanwhile, she'll ignore or insult a good educated black man. She'll make the good black man wait a month for the box. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Yeah. Shout out to Joe Abundance. Shout out to Joe Abundance. All right. Jessica, or Jesse, as Obsidian calls you. You got anything else before we pack it in?
I think I'm done, Bernard. I think I'm done.
All right. Thanks for coming up. You came up, I think, my last two shows. Appreciate you coming through, hanging out. Do appreciate it.
I don't know what they refer to it over there in the UK, but over here in the United States, you heard what the ladies say, what they refer to certain things.
Nice, big, juicy.
Yeah. I don't know what they do over
here. What's a Jessica X? What is a slang name for the male phallus in the UK?
Knob.
Todger.
Willy.
Oh, wait, hold on. She was on a roll. She about to reel off like 10 of them. Go ahead. Start from the beginning.
So knob.
Mm-hmm.
A bell end.
What?
A bell end.
Bell end?
So like you can use that, like instead of calling someone like a D head, you call them a bell end, because it's like if you're circumcised, it sort of looks like a bell at the end.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You got it?
Bell end. Okay.
Bell end.
Okay, what else?
Oh boy.
Todger. Willy.
Mm-hmm, yeah, we got that one.
Winky, maybe for like a kid.
Yeah, winky. Yeah.
I'm kind of all out.
What about wanker? I thought they call them wankers too over there, right?
No, wanker means like to jack off. That's wanking. Okay.
You bloody wanker. They say that a lot over there.
Yeah.
I thought you were going, and Ice beat me to it. I thought you were going to say tallywhacker.
No one actually says that though. No one says that.
Really?
Yeah, no one says that.
Tallywhacker was the first thing that came to mind.
No, like sometimes you'd hear it, but nobody actually says these things over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
But the first one, knob, that because over here we have a phrase called slob on the knob. So yeah, you got that.
Yeah, that's why I got knob. That one. But the bell end that was funny. That was funny. I didn't see that one Oh, pun intended. But boom. See that one coming. We talking about dicks. All right. Sir Tyson the building with the super chat. He says first issue. Oh man, is stats aren't real. LOL. Second, 240-pound female, but self improvement is targeted at men. Make it make sense. Very well.
Exactly.
Very well said.
That's something that Dr. Jordan Peterson, even if we took the race out of it, even if we took black folks out of it, because you do have the white version of this. Tess Holliday, for example, I've written about her before, back when I was with a Voice for Men some years back. Tess Holliday and other white, I guess you could say, body positivity, fake the funk people. They don't want their assortative mating equal. They want, and you can look at this in the I was going to say it, but I don't want to get Bernard in trouble. You can look at this in the. You can look at it in that world.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Time out, Obsidian. We got to figure out what's going on. I'm seeing. Wait a minute. This is Sirism. Wait a second. Hold on. I got to give you a proper introduction. Let me mute you real quick. He's showing a woman's light-skinned at toes, but we're about to pass it to Sirism. But just before I pass it to him, this is what it sounds like in a pin cry.
Light-skinned at toes.
Snow toes. Yeah.
Snow toes.
Yeah.
His audio is.
Dude, your audio was trash.
That Boost Mobile.
All right, let's give it another try.
That's a big chick. She could try out for the bumblebees that Obsidian was talking about.
Ism. Hold on, it ain't sounding right. I really wish it was right because
my bad.
Hold on, no, it's still sounding bad. It's still sounding bad. Try to get to another area. Some slander was thrown on your name, so I do want to, always whenever some slander get thrown on your name, I do let you come up and defend yourself.
What about that, brother?
It's almost there, so just try to be quick.
Oh, okay. I just said, why everybody in this place, man, everybody act like they earthly. If it's one thing, if I'm raggedy, you raggedy, and try that.
Still messed up.
What about that?
Still messed up.
Okay.
Sirism, it ain't sounding right, but I tell you this much. I promise you, next time on the air, you're in a better location. I'm about to get off, but next time on the air in a better location, I will let you come up and defend yourself against the accusations that Jessica X made a pimp cry. We will let you get that all straightened out live on the air. Hopefully, it's just as many viewers in here, so you can clear your name when that happened. But right now, your audio, it sounds like it's horrible. It's all over the place.
That shit was funny, man.
I do want to hear him explain that, and I want to know why he's showing some chick's toes. I don't know.
That was wild when he was up there and it was funny because he was going it was him and, if I'm not mistaken, Angry Man. Both of them were like going ham. So they're going ham on one side, and Jessica, we all know how Jessica X is. Jessica X is just cool as a cucumber. And then she said, "Ism, if I could get a word in XY, ism, angry man, hey, I'm just like, wow, this is deep.
That was a classic.
Yeah, it was wild, man. That was listen to both. Well, we all know Angry Man can go crazy. So with him, but then it was Sir Ism. He just straight spazzed out, and Jessica is just cool as a cucumber, man. This shit was funny. It was wild as hell.
Oh man, but no, I did want him to explain that. I did want to know what the toes was about too. But all right, yeah, we about to get up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody for coming through today. Shout out to Sir Tides. He says, Bernie, it's self-improvement. The Mac the Trucker in the building said, Bernard, he was crying and sweating. I don't believe he was crying. I think, I'm going to let him explain himself someday.
You need to see the clip. I think he came up to show the feet, to show that he's with a woman. But Sir Ism, if you want to come up and impress people with a woman, next time, this is a heads up when you come up onto Bernard's next time, get a woman that's in shape.
Ooh.
How could you tell from her feet that
didn't you see her big belly when the camera moved up? Her belly was huge.
No, I didn't see that. I missed that.
Her belly was huge.
All right, I'm trying to drop the link again for Sir Ism.
And while we wait for him to drop the link, let's play. Let's listen to this.
How you get so big that you food of this kind?
All right,
The
hey
hell was
Bernard,
that?
thanks, man. I gotta go.
All right, Friedman, appreciate you coming through.
Goodbye, Friedman.
That's my question. That would be my question to Sir Ism regarding the situation.
All right, we giving Sir. I've been trying to get off the air, but we're gonna give Sir Ism. We're gonna give Sir Ism one more chance. I'm a firm believer in letting brothers have their day in court, and hopefully his connection is good, so he can have his day in court. And so go ahead, Sir Ism. You got the floor. You got the mic. You're muted. Hold on, you're muted. Now you're shoot, I can't unmute you.
All right. I think I had to turn off my YouTube. You know I'm still a YouTube rookie. But for me to be a rookie, I sure cause up a lot of stir. I look on some of these dudes' pages. They've been here for 10 years. Ain't got but 2,000 subs. I was showing you some snow toes, man. That was some snow toes from a German batch, man. You understand me? I'm over here on vacation, man. I'm living good. So all you incel mother suckers that's in the chat.
Snow toes.
Snow toes, man. Snow toes on a white hoe. Okay, did that rhyme? Okay, check it out. Y'all incel crying. Are you gonna be quiet or are you gonna let me talk, sister?
Let him talk. Let him talk.
Okay then. Because you only 26. You could have been shot out my left nut. So I don't listen to you. But I just was saying, all you incel brothers that cry about women every day, you got some empirical data. Y'all got some facts. But when y'all gonna do a push-up? When you gonna do a sit-up? When you gonna work out? I don't see no in-shape men having problems with women. That's what I'm trying to do, brother. Y'all can talk about me. You can do what you want. You can tell me I need employment. I'm doing better than half you niggas in here. Nigga, I'm in a vacation joint right now with the double balconies, fool. You fools ain't living like this. So you can talk about me. You can say what you want. You can meet up. You can cry about women, and you still can't knock a book off a bookshelf, man. That's the problem.
Where you at?
That's the problem. The problem is you, man. Don't worry about where I'm at. The problem is you. You have to do something for yourself, brothers.
Where are you?
All right.
I'm where you not. I'm where you not.
We got that.
I'm where you are not. Brother, that's where I'm at, okay? I'm over here with a woman where you are not, okay? So, brother, start working out. Do something for yourself. Maybe you'll have better results with women. These women are not going to change.
All right. Okay, we're going to pass it. We're going to pass it. All right,
do
go
something
ahead.
for
Go
yourself.
ahead.
All right.
All right, go ahead, Jessica. Go ahead, Jessica.
He was saying to
don't
the
worry
men,
about
when
what
was
my
the
lady
last
friend
time
do.
they did a push-up? When was the last time she did a push-up? When was the last time she put down the donut?
Ooh.
When was the last time?
When she was going to get that paper. So don't worry about what she looked like.
You feeding her good? You taking good care of her?
Just going to get that. Say that again, Jessica.
I said he's taking good care of her. He's making sure she's well fed. Do you remember you mentioned the bumblebees earlier, Obsidian?
Yeah, the honeybees.
£240 weight, honeybees, that's it. £240 weight requirement.
That's
now,
right.
Listen, we may have a little organization your woman can join.
What is that, 20 stones?
Okay. She can join that one right there. Well, what about that organization?
I know what's bigger than those stacks.
What about that organization? Are you up on Chase Bank? Are you up on Chase Bank? Maybe you can go to this organization. Maybe do you want me to stop?
Gyms.
Maybe you could go to this organization.
Gyms,
See, that's what I'm gonna say.
$10 bills? Is that meant to be impressive?
My bad, baby. My bad. We gotta take care of this business. But where you say you was from, baby? Germany. All right, let's take care of this business.
Those are $10
I'm gonna be done with these people.
Those are $10 bills.
You came up here with $10 bills, and you're trying to
$10 bills. What are you talking about, Obsidian? Them are all hundreds, fool.
It's $10 bills.
Them all hundreds.
Them hundreds.
Fool. Them all hundreds. Fool.
How much?
Hey, Bernard, you see what I'm saying? This place, you can't. Hey, Bernard, see what I'm saying?
All right,
see what I'm saying, Bernard? Everybody gonna try to clown you. Y'all gonna handle your business, man. I'm gonna leave y'all alone, man. Y'all don't like the truth. Can't nobody be real but y'all. I'm gone, man. Y'all have a good day. Salute to you, brother Bernard Riley. I'm a fake motherfucker. Y'all the realest motherfuckers, but I don't have problems with bitches. Y'all ho-po. I'm bitch rich, nigga. I'm gone. From the Macrosphere.
You had to pull out all of that money, and that woman is what you could get. So, you just did yourself a disservice. You should have waited and got yourself a slim chick to come up with. You should have waited, because what you showed us is you had to pull out all that money from the bank to get that. Really?
He should have pinched off at least 2 of them hundreds and paid a slim chick to cam up with him.
Right. It would have been better off.
How you get so big that you
Your money's
this
good use,
guy?
sir.
Sorry, sir.
You can use one $100 bill to wipe
Shout
your
out-
tears
shout out-
and use the other
shout-
one to get a slim check.
Shout out to Sir Ism. Whenever some dirt get poured on his name, I let the brother come up and have his say. And I normally let him get the last word, but shout out to Sir Ism.
He's a good sport. I'll give him that.
No disrespect. Yeah, no disrespect. I don't mind somebody who can dish it out and take it, and that's cool. That's cool. That's what's up. But shout out to Sun is Hot Raw, Obsidian soundbite at the sounded scary like a damn ghost. Yeah, I think that might have been Yoda. That may have been Yoda. I'm not even sure what that. I didn't.
It's definitely him.
How you get so big that you food of this kind?
The perfect storm in the building. He says, in shape men get cheated on every day. Okay, shout out to you. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Thanks for being a channel member. Shout out to who else do we have in here? We got Clue in the building. He said, "Isn't this the dude that got owned by Game and gone?" Yeah. Shout out to Clue. Shout out to Unchained. Ed Unchained says, "Leave us incels out your beefs." Right on, Ed. Speak up for you and your brethren. The Mac Truck on the building says, "1-on-1 with Sir Ism." That might happen someday. That may happen someday. All right. So now we about to wrap this thing up. It ended with a bang. I liked that. So shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. And we are, where is it? I can't find it. I don't want to play that one. I'm trying to find the Manosphere meetup thing. Oh, there. No, that's not it. I can't find it because I don't want to play the one that got the copyright strike in it. Oh wait, no, this is the right one. Shout out to everybody. Make sure you. Oh wait, hold on. Obsidian, is the Manosphere meetup? Is that at capacity yet?
Last time I checked, it was near capacity. The hotel has stopped giving hotel discounts on hotel rooms. The registration cutoff is 7 days from now, November 15th.
All right, so you still got some time. Manosphere meetup, everybody. We are out of here. Peace. Today's show is brought to you by the Division 6 comic book, created and produced by Michael Varner and executive producer Theodore Young. Division 6 is a James Bond meets Mission Impossible like geopolitical thriller. The protagonist is Seth Banks, an African-American male genius in cryptology and economics that secretly works for a rogue organization of the CIA called Division 6. Be sure to click the link in the chat room or in the video description to view the comic book. New chapters are added bi-weekly.